Welcome back to Straight Facts. I nearly said on Tuesday. It's not. I thought it was Tuesday this morning, and me and Lee arranged it. Then Savva messaged me saying, "Is our show today?" And I realised it was Wednesday. So they're both here together. It's double bubble on the show. Welcome, people. I hope you both had a very Merry Christmas.
Yeah, man. Yeah, very enjoyable.
Yeah, lovely.
Thank you. Very nice. Hopefully yours was very good.
It was very, very good, especially yesterday evening. It was very, very good indeed.
Your manager saved himself, mate. You got to back him. Yeah, he's turned it around.
He did well last night. The team did well last night, 110%. But viewers, hit like buttons, please. Make sure you're subscribing. Welcome to the Rat Army that I can see are already here. And I did actually want to start though with Man United yesterday, who very good second half performance. A Garnacho brace and Rasmus Hojlund scoring his 6th goal of the season, or his 1st goal in the Prem, but his 6th goal of this campaign to give Man United a win against, an Unai Emery team that has been tipped to be in the title race, has been spoken about as a brilliant team that most people predicted to batter us. So a good result in the end by Man United, in your view, Lee, yeah?
Well, it depends what you say by good. You've gone from 8th to 6th.
Yeah.
Your striker scored 1 goal, and it's December the 26th at that time. He starts crying, gets a standing ovation from the happy clappers in the crowd. Yeah, your manager's jumping around, fist pumping everyone, and you're 11 points off the Scousers. So yeah, if that's what Man United standards are now, I suppose it was a good result.
So you think that Rasmus Hojlund shouldn't have celebrated scoring a goal?
Well, what's he celebrating?
Winning a game.
Well done. You're supposed to beat Aston Villa. You're supposed to win at Old Trafford, and you're not supposed to be 6th.
You predicted, I heard, this might be true, I heard that you predicted Aston Villa were going to win because they're better than us.
Yep. I predicted Aston Villa to win quite comfortably as well. Yeah, and well done. I got a prediction wrong. Whoopee. Good job, Man United's players are not paid based on my predictions, isn't it?
I mean, so genuinely, like you don't think Man United players should celebrate winning games?
What are they celebrating? They've been an absolute disgrace to the badge all season. It's your worst start to a season for about 80 or 90 years.
Okay.
So what are they celebrating?
Winning the game.
Sorry, you're 6th in the table. Yeah, you've lost 8 games out of 18.
That's awful, yeah.
Yeah, and you've got the same, well, you've still got a minus goal difference, and you've scored the same amount of goals as Luton Town. What are you all celebrating? Yeah, the way that stadium was yesterday was embarrassing. Yeah, and that's exactly why you're lumbered with the Glazers. Yeah, because all of them people that were clapping and jumping around and screaming and shouting, cool, enjoy a win, fantastic. Yeah, but it was like you've just gone top of the table on the final day of the season. Yeah, you've got a striker that's getting paid 80 grand a week who scored 1 goal in 4 months. Yeah, and look at the celebration. He's giving it all. I'm here, mate. Where have you been all year? Yeah, you've dumped it. You've scored your goals in Europe. Well done. You finished bottom of your group. First time Man United have conceded that many goals in Europe. First time they finished bottom of their group for probably in their entire history in that competition. Yeah, absolutely been embarrassed left, right, and centre by dead teams all season. Yeah, and you're running around celebrating like that. And then the manager's celebrating, fist pumping, and giving it all to Bertie at 2-2. I mean, no disrespect, you shouldn't be going 2-0 down. Regardless of my prediction, you should not be 2-0 down at home to Aston Villa. Yeah. You shouldn't be 2-0 down to anyone at home.
I understand that. So if you think Man United should be winning the game, why are you predicting us to lose then?
Why not? I'm not a Man United fan, so I can predict whatever I want.
Yeah, but if you think we're good enough to win, why are you not predicting us to win games? Why are you not saying we're a good team?
Where did I say you're good enough to win? Which is why I predicted a loss. Doesn't mean it's a massive achievement that you've beaten Aston Villa. You're Man United Football Club. You're the biggest club in England that are absolutely on their knees, dead and buried as an institute. You've got players that are shameless. Garnacho, shameless. Yeah.
Why is he shameless?
Why is he shameless? He scored 3 goals all season. We're nearly in January.
Oh, okay.
And 2 of them were yesterday.
Okay.
Garnacho. I don't get what you're happy about.
I understand where you're coming from. Sav, from your point of view, do you think it was wrong and disgraceful for Man United to celebrate winning a game because we haven't been good enough this year? What should they have done instead?
I don't know how I follow on from that. Like, if ever there's going to be a show where I might end up being the good guy, it might be this one. Look, I understand where Lee is coming from in the context of, that Man U haven't been very good and, what are they celebrating from that aspect? But I think at the same time that they're professional footballers. Like, their job is to go out and win. They've won a game. I get why they're celebrating. I get why Garnacho, especially Hojlund. It's that weight off the shoulders, first goal. He's a youngster that's come into a setup which isn't, which isn't. It's not great to come into if you're young. He's not coming into a settled Arsenal team or a settled City team, etc. He's come into a very dysfunctional Man United setup. So I understand it. Was it a bit over the top? I mean, it will be over the top if they go and lose their next game. However, if that's the kickstart of a run. But look, we've seen this so many times before, right? We've seen this quite a lot in the last 3 months. And I was just on another stream saying that Ten Hag seems to get that win when it's almost like, he's got to be sacked today. Win. Do you know what I mean? And then the next game, it'll be, he's lost, he's got to be sacked. Win. So look, I get it. I get what Lee's saying, and look, that's Lee has that outlook on football, right? I don't think I'm wrong in saying this, Lee. Lee, if people are proclaiming their clubs are big and they're paid all this money, they should be winning these games. Therefore, the celebrating shouldn't be over the top. It should be, this is a standard. So I get it, but in the context of 90 minutes, it was a good comeback, but it was poor that United found themselves in that position in the first place. So. Look, it is what it is, and I'll sit a little bit on the fence on this one.
Yeah, listen, I understand Lee's point of view, and I get Lee's outlook on football. Lee does not believe any team. I saw your tweet the other day where Gary Neville showed Sheffield United fans celebrating going 1-0 up at Villa, and you said, why are they celebrating their bottom of the league? I thought to myself, well, they were celebrating because at that point they were winning and they wouldn't have been bottom of the league. But I get Lee's point of view, which is unless you are top of the Premier League, at the end of the season, you shouldn't celebrate goals or wins. That is
when you're a Sheffield United fan that's gone to Aston Villa on an away trip, your team are rooted bottom of the table, you've scored a goal, and you're all jumping around celebrating. Well, you should be writing that you sold your 2 best players, one to a rival in Burnley, and your owner didn't spend any money. Why are you all celebrating? You're bottom of the table. You're getting relegated. Yeah, and then they'll get relegated. They'll take the parachute payment. Yeah, they'll go and win the championship next season. They'll cheer to get back in the league that they're not going to bother taking seriously again. Waste of time. We've seen this with Delia Smith at Norwich and West Brom. Yeah, we're seeing it. We're seeing it with this lot this time round. Yeah, why are you celebrating an irrelevant goal?
So, like I'm saying, so I get your point of view, which is unless you're other than Arsenal when they're top of the league, you don't celebrate that. Only if you're City on top of the league, who have won the league multiple times, does Lee believe you should celebrate goals or winning games. I disagree. I think you can celebrate great moments. I think you can celebrate. Hopefully what you believe may be a turning of the tide. So that could be an individual player. That could be getting off the bottom of the league and maybe going on a little bit of a better run, whatever it may be. I think you're allowed to celebrate those moments. I don't think it means you have low standards. I saw a lot of people tweeting yesterday when Garnacho knee slid, going, you'd never see a Madrid player slide on his knees. I literally Googled, like Ronaldo, equalizer, Real Madrid. I saw multiple pictures of not one knee slide, but the others were like really like shouting to the crowd when he scored equalizers. There was a picture of Rodrigo knee sliding after an equalizer for Real Madrid. There's a lot of lies that get made up on the internet. Oh, this club wouldn't do that. Well, it has happened at those clubs on multiple occasions. It takes 5 minutes with a Google search to research it. So I think Lee's outlook, for me personally, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying I think Lee's outlook is overly pessimistic. But it's that way, no matter how good a team does, you can remain negative. If you set the standards so high that it's almost unachievable, you can always be negative.
You're Manchester United, the biggest and wealthiest club in the country. Yes. Yeah, with a grand history and tradition of winning stuff. Yes. And you've gone from 8th to 6th, losing 8 out of 18 games this season with a negative goal difference, and we are nearly in January.
Can I throw a...
Let me just respond to that 1 second. I'll come to you next. And I get that outlook. And I'm still someone that's sitting here saying I think the manager needs to be moved on, as well as a lot of these players. But at the same time, what I saw last night was elements that I've been begging to see, which was higher work rate and a faster tempo. And as soon as we did that, there was an improvement. So in the celebration of that exactly, and that's where I think me and Lee look at it differently. Me and Lee don't have overly differentiating standards. The difference is I believe that you can be positive and encouraging whilst pushing people to achieve those standards. And that works the same in any walk of life. Some people, and maybe Lee is, I think sometimes Lee looks outwards as though he's looking inwards. Lee might be the kind of person who, if he's doing bad at work, doesn't mind his boss getting in his face saying, you're shit at your job, I'll sack you next week if you don't improve. But for some people, that doesn't help them. Some people need the arm around the shoulder. So I think there's more than one way to skin a cat here. I do have the same standards of Lee, but I will look at things and go, right, last night was exactly, with the second half, let me rephrase that, is exactly what I want to see from Manchester United on a more regular basis. So I'm going to hold them to that standard from this point. That is what I want to see almost week in, week out. You've proven you could do it. But I'll also celebrate and join in on that moment. And I don't think celebrating and joining in and encouraging your players is something that goes against standards, where the players go, do you know what, guys, all we have to do is win one every game every now and then, and the audience, fans will love us. I don't think it's as basic as that. But Sav, what are you saying, mate? Sorry.
No, I was just going to say that look, because of social media, because everything is scrutinized now more than anything, imagine if they didn't celebrate. Imagine if Rasmus Hojlund didn't get that worked up and the United players didn't celebrate at the end. All you would have now is a whole internet of people going, see, the players don't even care. The players aren't playing for them. The players don't care.
True.
So
yeah.
It's kind of like, I don't know what, look, for me, I always think you should celebrate. If you're scoring a goal, celebrate. I think there's levels to it. I think sometimes that we've seen it with Klopp. Sometimes Klopp celebrates an away win, goes to the other end, gives it the big, like they've just won the World Cup or something. But look, I think it's, for me, it's a non-issue. But look, I don't know. I feel that I don't feel as strongly as Lee about this.
And you are right. I'm not saying Lee would do this, but the LG Love United Hate Glazer accounts, if he wouldn't have really celebrated, would have gone in the other direction and said it shows he doesn't really care.
Right.
So, and I've noticed that because when you ask those individuals, and I've asked a few a question ahead of time, so what would it take for you to support this person? They can't give you an answer because they don't want to be backed into a corner. So I'm going to try this theory on Lee. When, in your opinion, can Rasmus Hojlund start scoring goals? What does he need to do before, in your opinion, he's right to celebrate goals? What does he have to do before you'll go, do you know what? That's fair now. You can celebrate. What's the standard?
Score more than one goal in 4 months.
Okay, but
so I'll give you an example, right? But you mentioned about his age, or Savva mentioned about his age. Sorry, that he's a young striker. He's 21 in a couple of weeks. He's 21 in February or March, I think. He's leading the line for Manchester United, and he has scored 1 goal in 4 months. Yeah, and then he's celebrating like he's just won you the title. Yeah, I'm sorry, mate. Find a bit of self-awareness.
Isn't that relief, though?
Yeah.
Can I just ask? Isn't that relief?
But you can have relief. Yeah, there's other players in this league of similar ages, yeah, or around a little bit older, maybe, yeah, that are equally as bad, gone on mad runs without a goal. You don't see them celebrating like that. Yeah, Man United players are shameless. Yeah, look at Garnacho shushing the Copenhagen and Galatasaray fans, then going on and not winning the game. Yeah, and to be fair, he did it again. He did it the first time against Copenhagen and lost. What are you shushing for? It's Copenhagen, mate. Yeah, no disrespect. You should be battering them, and then you go on and lose the game. You then go to the next away game in the Champions League. You score again, and you start shushing the Galatasaray fans, and then you don't win that one either. Yeah, no self-awareness.
I do get that, Lee. But to answer the question specifically, what does Rasmus Hojlund have to do? Name me an amount of goals in the next 4 months that you think's enough for him to be able to celebrate.
He can celebrate whenever he wants, but at the end of the day,
I want to know what he has to do for you not to criticize him for celebrating. I'd love to get your personal opinion on that, Lee.
You can get my personal opinion on it, Terry. The fact of reality is I couldn't give 2 flying Fs whether he scores 1 goal or billion and 1 goal.
But you do, because you do care because you criticize him. So what's it going to take?
I'm criticising Man United. I'm criticising Man United, the size of the football club, the size of the fee, the player that you've got, yeah, having no shame whatsoever. Yeah, no self-awareness whatsoever, and going on like he's Cristiano Ronaldo just scoring a winning goal to fire you to a title. Yeah, when he scored 1 league goal.
Oh, I understand that because you're saying it because you care, but I'm asking you, say he celebrates like that again. What would he have to have done? What would he have to have done for you to turn around and go, I understand the celebration? What is it he has to do?
Go and win the title.
Go and win a cup. Do that in the cup final. Do that in the cup final. Cool.
Terry, do that in the cup final. No problem with it. If you're scoring the winning goal in the cup final, yeah, go and do that. You've just beaten Aston Villa at home to go 6th, 11 points off of Liverpool. Yeah, minus goal difference. Scored the same amount of goals as Luton.
So until it's in a final or a goal to win the Premier League, he can't celebrate, and Garnacho can't knee slide.
You can try and put words in my mouth all you want. I couldn't care
No,
less.
I'm trying to understand. It's not a word. No, I'm trying to get a straight answer. But that's not. I want to know.
I couldn't care if he celebrates or not. What I'm saying is,
you do care. You do care because you're complaining about it. You care because you're complaining about it.
In a final, yeah.
So you've heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. You can only celebrate goals if it's in cup finals. Other than that, no more goal celebration.
Can I ask a question?
Come on, Lee.
Can I ask a question, Lee? From your point of view, what would have been if we point, forget Man U, if we point purely at Rasmus Hojlund, what do you think would have been an acceptable level in your mind, an acceptable level of celebration?
Get the ball out the back of the net, give it a fist pump with the ball under your arm, and walk back and run back to the centre circle and put the ball down, which is what Garnacho should have done when he equalised. Yeah, instead he's knee sliding across the pitch, mate. What? Go and get the ball, mate. It's 2-2. You're not winning, right?
I understand that. By the way, I wanted to ask you though, Lee, about that game as well, and we'll get onto United in a minute. What of Unai Emery? Media started talking about him being in a title race, and ever since then, he failed to beat Sheffield United, failed to beat a very poor Manchester United. Is this Unai Emery's bottle going once the pressure comes on again, in your opinion?
Well, I'm looking at the form guide, and their last 5 games, they've won 3, drawn 1, and lost 1, which is exactly the same as Arsenal. So if he's bottling it, are Arsenal bottling it then?
Okay, did Arsenal lose?
It's the same form.
I'll answer you, but it isn't, because they play different teams. The question is, have Arsenal, in your opinion, dropped points to a team like Sheffield United and lost a 2-0 lead and lost 3-2 to a team in disarray like Man United? Have Arsenal done that, in your opinion?
Well, we dropped points to Aston Villa. We lost to Aston Villa, Terry. We lost to Newcastle, Terry.
But I'm asking you this question because you said at the time that Unai Emery is a superior manager to Arteta. You've been praising Aston Villa. I'm now asking you, a team that you say is better than Arsenal, should have better form than them. Hold on.
When did I say Aston? Don't put words in my mouth again. When did I say Aston Villa are a better team than Arsenal? When have I ever said that?
I'm only going by the fact that you're praising them for where they are, but you don't praise Arsenal. So maybe I assumed wrong. Generally, but not according to you, you don't think they're good enough. So how are they meant to be there?
Arsenal by name. This is where we
but you don't judge a team by name. You judge a team by how good they actually are, though, don't they? You judge a team by how good they are, not their name.
Hold on. I support Arsenal Football Club. Yeah, not the players that are on the pitch, mate. Yeah, because players come and go, Terry. Yeah, it's Arsenal Football Club. Yeah, the club is the star, none of the players. Yeah, big up Toney. The club is the star. So when you're sitting there saying, I think Unai Emery is a better manager than Arteta, yeah, trophies tell me that, mate. Yeah, trophies tell me that. Unai Emery's won how many? Cool. Yeah, thank you. Now you're saying that I think Aston Villa are a better team than Arsenal. When have I ever said that?
As I just said, the reason that I assumed that, and I apologize for assuming wrong, is because the level of praise you give Aston Villa compared to Arsenal. Yeah. And I understand what you're saying. I get you when you say I judge where a team should be is partly based on their name and partly based on their income and money, and I understand that. But when it comes to predicting what a team's going to do, you do the same as everybody else. You predict based on how good that team it actually is. So my point is, I've seen you praise Aston Villa far more than Arsenal this year, which would make me believe, because you only praise teams that you believe are winners and you don't care about irrelevant wins. So I just thought your praising of Villa was because they were better. That's why, my friend.
Hold up. Wait a minute. I've praised Girona all season. Yeah, what have they won? So again, factually incorrect information. Yeah, I praise teams that play
it's what you do, though. No, it's not factually. It's not factually correct information. You've said on this show 100 times, I don't celebrate irrelevant wins. I don't praise people that don't win anything. So my assumption is that when you're praising Girona, when you're praising Aston Villa, it's because you're really impressed with how good they are.
And what they're doing. But what I also said to you on last week's show, if you remember, because I know you've got quite a good memory. Yeah, last week I said if Aston Villa don't win anything this season, he should be sacked.
No, I know you said that.
Because he would have been there 18 months at that point. He ain't won anything.
If we go back to the original question, do you think now the pressure is getting to Aston Villa? The media are talking about them as title contenders. Their fans are phoning into the radio shows and saying it. Do you think the pressure again has got to Unai Emery and he's crumbling?
No. Like I said, if you look at the form table, they're 1 point ahead of us in total. We've got a game in hand, obviously. Yeah, but they've got exactly the same form table as us in the last 5 games. So is the pressure getting to us? They've lost 1 and drawn 1 out of their last 5. So have Arsenal.
So you think their form is okay? So you don't take any stock in scraping a draw against the worst team in the league at home and losing a 2-0 lead to Man United who are in disarray. You don't think that's something to discuss when it comes to Unai Emery?
Well, of course it is. But at the end of the day, Terry, they're 1 point behind Arsenal and 3 points off the top. They've played the same amount of games as Liverpool and they're 3 points behind them. So just because they've drawn and lost in their last 2 games, well, sorry, mate, they're only 3 points off the top of the table.
Okay.
So I don't see where we're going with this. Yeah, if Arsenal win, they'll be 4 points off the top of the table. So Aston Villa, that have spent net in the last 2 summers, of which one he wasn't there, 100 million quid. Yeah, and now up there fighting for a title. So just because they've dropped points in their last 2 games, well, they're not supposed to be there in the first place based off of the size of their football club, which isn't as big as the clubs that they're up there with, Liverpool, Arsenal, etc. Still a massive club, by the way. Yeah, and the amount of money they've spent in comparison to them clubs. So they shouldn't be there. So this is why Unai Emery's getting praised from me, because number 1, he's a very good manager, and number 2, Aston Villa shouldn't even be there. Yeah, based on all the other clubs, they should not even be in this conversation. Yeah, and the fact that he's only 3 points off the top of the table, yeah, with Longley at centre-back, Douglas Luiz in midfield, John McGinn in midfield. I mean, come on. Jacob Ramsey on the left. Yeah, he shouldn't even be there, should he? Let's be real.
Go on, Sav. Go on, bruv.
Yeah, let me jump in on this point. I agree with the last points that Lee's been making there. I think that look, 2023, I'm a huge believer. This is what it's done to us, right? 2023 is a manager overachieves. Let's make no bones about it, right? Unai Emery has overachieved with that Aston Villa squad thus far, right? I believe that thus is a great word, by the way. In the last 14 months since he's been at Aston Villa, only 1 club has got more points than him in 14 months. For me, that is ridiculous. The guy has done absolutely phenomenal, right? But the problem is, it's not him putting Aston Villa into a title race. It's the media, it's the fans that are going, oh, they're up there. They're up there. They should be winning a title. Aston Villa should be nowhere near winning a title. But what we do is, because fans have put them up there and everyone's seen them up there, the moment they lose a game or have 2 games where they don't win, it's drama. It's, oh my God, they've bottled it. I don't think they've bottled anything. I don't think, if you had said at the beginning of the season, after 19 games of the season, exactly halfway, that Aston Villa are going to be 3 points. I think it'll be 4 or 5 if Arsenal win tomorrow night, off the top of the table, going into January transfer window, everyone will go, give that man manager of the year. But what we've done instead is gone bottling. I don't think they're bottling anything. I think they're a very good team, Aston Villa. But do I think they should be anywhere near the top? No. I think they will be in the hunt with Spurs for 4th. I think Spurs and Villa looking at 4th place. That's the battle. The other 3, for me, will kick on and go forward. So I just think it's not bottling. It's not amazing. It's as everything, right? It's somewhere probably in the middle here. But look, is Unai Emery a better manager than Arteta, which was somewhere in all of that? Well, historically, yes.
Yeah,
historically, the guy's won trophy after trophy after trophy, hasn't he? So, but the difference is, sorry, last thing, Terry. Last thing. Difference is, I think what Lee, tell me if I'm wrong. I think what Terry's judging them both against is Arsenal have had, I don't know the exact numbers. Please don't shout at me, Arsenal fans. 650, 700 million in 4 years under Arteta to get to this point where people are saying, win a title. Aston Villa have had Unai Emery for 14 months. When he picked them up, they were bottom 3 under Gerrard. No one's expecting Aston Villa to do anything. So I think there's levels to who should get praise and for what versus who should be berated or not. So
I totally agree with that point. And I'm asking the question, there's the element of me being a little bit facetious with the question. So
sure.
Again,
it's not clear, tell.
I don't expect anything differently.
Yeah, no, but sometimes I'm being facetious. Sometimes I ask questions based on other people's opinions and points. Sometimes it's based on something I agree with. I agree with you. You shouldn't be comparing Aston Villa this season, pound for pound, have been the best team in the league because they are punching well above their weight. The reason why I am calling Lee out a little bit on it. Lee doesn't view football that way. Lee views it in a monolithic way. So if Luton don't win the Premier League, in his opinion, they're failures. So therefore, how much they've spent, the size of their club, the name of their club is irrelevant according to Lee Gunner, because if you're not winning the Premier League, you're basically a bum. But where I'm calling him out is that I know if Arsenal, by the way, every club does the same, was to lose 2 failed to win 2 games on the bounce against teams they should be beating, he would say that's a reason why I want him sacked. But yet when it comes to Unai Emery, bear in mind, Lee says you should always judge every club in exactly the same way. He's not judging him in exactly the same way. And that's because I don't actually think Lee believes that. Lee
no.
that.
Again, factually incorrect information, because you've just admitted and agreed with me that on last week's show, I said if he doesn't win anything at Aston Villa this season, sack him.
Okay.
But and it's not just the Premier League, by the way, because there are cup competitions you can win. So hold on. No, just let me finish real quick. Yeah? You said about Luton win the Premier League or they failed. Well, there are 2 cup competitions they can play in. Not only that, there is a team that are second in La Liga, right behind the biggest club on the planet. Yeah, that got a stadium about 2,000 capacity more than Luton, got an income that's a third of Luton's. Yeah, and they've got promoted, gone 10th, and now sit second. Yeah, a point off the top. So if they can do it against the 3 of the biggest teams in Europe, why can't other teams? And we had this conversation about Brighton. Yeah, why can't other teams do it? Yeah, because they don't spend the money or have the know-how to even want to.
It's a great question, Lee. And if Girona maintain this for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, then I think you have a point. At the moment, I think Girona are an anomaly, and you shouldn't, in my opinion, in any element of life, you shouldn't set a precedent based on an anomaly, because there isn't enough data, there isn't enough, if they maintain it on this budget, they keep their players, and then you look and go, wow, what they're doing, maybe that can be echoed across football. Similarly, I don't remember the name of the baseball team in America that kind of started the Moneyball phenomenon, because they started competing with teams that just had much more money than them, and then it was something then that was adopted by multiple, I don't even know, franchises across that league as an example. So maybe Girona are doing something which these teams can adopt. My point is more to do with the fact that that's why I love talking to Lee. Sometimes it's like, no, this is a standard and how I judge football. But then when it comes to people he likes, like Unai Emery, he'll chop and change it a little bit. And that's all I was asking him about.
If Emery don't win anything, sack him. He would have been there 18 months in that time.
I'm not talking, but that's not my point. My point is Emery has fouled in these last 2 games, and you're kind of defending him. But I know if it was certain other managers, you'd be ripping into them. The size of the club is irrelevant.
Simeone,
the size of the club, and if you just said, Lee, let me please let me finish. Please let me finish. But as you've just said, you judge all the clubs the same because they could all do what Girona's doing. Therefore, it doesn't matter if you're Luton or Man United, it's the same thing. So this idea, like you said earlier, that United should be winning and doing this and we shouldn't expect it at Villa, goes against that logic. That's all I'm asking.
It's Man United.
Oh, no, it does.
Man United's income, revenue streams, and players they can field are better than Aston Villa.
So you agree with my point from a few weeks ago that we can't judge all clubs the same?
Well, you can judge all clubs the same. They all have the same TV money.
You judge them all the same. Why are you not if you're judging them all the same, then why are you treating two games without a win on the bounce for Emery different to your manager?
Terry, I've supported my football club 35 years.
It's irrelevant.
Yeah? So
why are you doing that?
Hold on. I've seen my club win 17 trophies in 35 years. That's not including that little plate, by the way, the glorified soccer aid. Like 35 trophies.
Yeah, no one counts that. No one counts that. Unless you're a Spurs fan, no one counts that.
Our fans count it. Our fans count it, mate. And then dismiss the League Cup. Make that make sense. My point is,
don't bring my Spurs into this.
Aston Villa have got the same. Everyone in the league has the same opportunity to go and win it. Right? Everybody in the Premier League gets an equal TV revenue share. They're all going to make over 100 million. They're finishing 5th when we finished 5th to Tottenham a few seasons back. We had 9.7 million less than Man City, who won the league. Yeah, that is where I have an issue, because every team has an opportunity with big backing from their ownership, from their income. They can go out and financially go and get players to make them better, to go and compete for a title. Brighton can do it. They got 260 million in profit in the last 2 summers. They didn't bother. Yeah, so when you see teams that are actually having a go, like Aston Villa, yeah, and they have got a manager in there that's tactically half decent. Yes, he cocked up yesterday. Yes, he will cock up along the way. Yeah, but at the end of the day, they're having a go. You've got to rate that because they are actually trying to win it. He's even admitted he wants to win it. And he told Emi Martinez, who did an interview, he's told the squad he's going for a title. That's a good mentality. I totally agree.
I totally agree. And I agree 100% with what Savva said. What Villa have done this year is brilliant. I think the title talk, maybe a little bit. I think what they've done so far, then I'll rephrase, has been brilliant. Let's see where they end up. They could completely fall off and end up 8th. We've seen teams do that in the past as an example. I just don't believe you can judge everybody the same. There were people in the comments before we went live that were calling me a flip-flop, Lee. So I need to ask you, what did you do?
Flip-flops hard.
Yeah, flip-flop fluers.
Flip-flop fluers. It rings what have I flip-flopped about?
Well, are you Ten Hag in now?
No, where have I said that?
I'm asking. I don't know. I don't know why they're calling you a flip-flop, Terry. What have you done?
No, I thought it was something that was said on your show. So I don't know what it means. I've generally was. I praised the second half performance, and I praised some of the tactical decisions he made in the second half. But yeah, I don't know. Some people says to me, "So do you want him to stay now?" And I'm like, only if yesterday happens week in, week out for the next few months, then maybe my mind will change, because I only want the team to improve, but I don't personally see that happening.
And then coming back to win 3-2 every game.
No, I said the second half.
Oh,
I said
okay.
what I said. What I saw
doing their jobs, which they should have been doing in the first half.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much.
I mean, do you honestly? Let me ask Savva this as well. Yeah, like both of you guys. Do you actually genuinely think that was a good performance from Man United in the second half? Like, real talk. Do you actually think that was a really good performance?
I don't think it was a really good performance, but I think they figured out the best way to go at Aston Villa and made it count. I also, to be consistent, I said this all day, I do feel that Aston Villa displayed a lot of arrogance after going 2-0 up. 2-0 up, it was almost as though they said, we don't need to do anything here. They just retreated, sat back, and then in the second half, Man U found a formula. But what we can't do, though, is I'll try and keep consistent with what I said in an earlier show in case there's anyone watching, because you know they'll call you out if you get one one word different from my sentence from earlier. People have a go. Look, if we're looking at it in the context of 90 minutes, yeah, I get it. Well done. Great comeback. 3-2. Praise Emery. Praise Ten Hag. If we're looking at it in the context of the season and the context of going 2-0 down at home, is poor. But what we can't do is we can't knock managers when they get it wrong. And then when they get it right, whether it's in-game or not, we can't then say, but they didn't do it right. Listen, Villa, for me, should have kept attacking. If I think first half when they were attacking, they looked like they could get in behind Man U quite a lot. I don't know why they stopped. And every single time Man United scored, for the next 2 minutes, Villa up their game. If you notice, Villa suddenly went, right, let's get the ball forward and let's try and play. And it was too late. So, look, fair play to him. But look, I'll go back to it being 2023. I mean, us YouTubers, we're the worst for it, right? But all of a sudden is this the turning point? Yeah, do you know what I mean? Is this the start of a great Man United revival? When they lose the next game, I'm not saying the next game, when they lose one of the next two games, it will be back to Ten Hag out. Yeah, right, Ten Hag out. He's dreadful.
This is why, like, for me, as I said, I was impressed with our second half performance. Lots of areas of it. I still said there was areas we had to improve on. We still, for me, when we scored our first and our second goal, I thought our shape was a little loose out of possession. They had a couple of chances, a good save from Onana and a good block from Johnny Evans. And I want us to be better in that circumstance. I wasn't happy with every single element of the second half, but it was a much improved performance. There was more work rate. There was more tempo. And Lee's right. That's what we should be expecting from them. However, that has fallen. That standard has fallen. So when I see it, again, it's just the way I view things, is that's it. That's what I want. And then I will encourage the team to do more of it. But has my mind changed about the manager leaving after 45 minutes? Absolutely not. It will take a lot for me to change my mind. And I think the fans can be happy with it, but they have to push hard for the team to keep improving. And the one thing I will say, a few people will call me a hypocrite for praising the manager after wanting him out. Again, I don't think people understand what the word hypocrite means. What a hypocrite would be is, I've called Lee out on this before, where I've not called him out, but said that I think he's wrong for not praising a manager he doesn't like when he gets something correct. Right? And that's not a dig at you, Lee. That's just your way, and you're allowed to be that way. What would make me a hypocrite is then when Ten Hag gets something right, would be for me to not praise that, even though I want him out. That would be being a hypocrite, not behaving in a way that in a way that I think Lee should. Even though Lee doesn't have to listen to me, that would make me the hypocrite. All I've done is follow through exactly what I believe to personally be right. And that's, I'll criticize a manager when I think he gets it wrong, and I'll praise him when I think he gets it right. And I thought we were decent in the second half yesterday. Were we world class? No. Is there still room to improve? Absolutely. But for me, the way we played, I want to see far more of that, whether it's Ten Hag staying or not. But we will see. Viewers, let us know what you think and feel. We've got a few super chats here that I want to go to. Ray says, I reckon Villa won't stay in the top four because they are equipped to deal with that, with the top four race. I don't think so. That's true. Touchline Fact says Lee cook him king with a crown on it. Thank you, Touchline Fact. Thank you. Well, according to Lee, if Villa don't win the league, it's failure. Yeah, Lee has said that. Lee does believe it's failure for Villa if they don't win the league. That is what he said, and he'll stand by it. Lee doesn't make any sense because it is not because they are not supposed something supposed to be there. I think I meant to say supposed to be there, and they are overachieving. Why would I sack him if they don't win it? But that's also part of the point. Yeah, if they're overachieving and shouldn't be there, you can't sack him for not winning the league.
Again, factually incorrect information on the one before. I keep that one there for a sec, though. I never said if Villa don't win the league, he should be sacked. I said if they don't win anything this season, he should be sacked. Yeah, they're in the FA Cup and they're in the Conference League.
Can I just ask though on that point, Lee? I listen. I get where you're coming from, and I love that you hold things to high standards. I do. But the problem is if we adopt that theory to, there's 2 cups, right? Let's take away the league and the Champions League. There's 2 cups. And you're going to say, right, Pep's got to win one. Klopp's got to win one. Arteta's got to win one. Eddie Howe, Postecoglou, De Zerbi, Unai Emery. At what point Ten Hag? At what point they can't all...
Yeah, but again, Savva, that's factually incorrect information because there's not 2 cups. There's a Champions League. Why are you taking that out? There's a Premier League. Why are you taking that out? Just to
no. Hang on.
Conference League. Then there's the Europa League.
No. Hang on. I'm talking about something that everyone can win. I'm talking about all of those clubs are guaranteed to be in the league or the FA Cup. There's no point talking about everyone being able to win a Premier League because they can't. Let's be brutally honest, they can't. But everyone
they don't do enough to try. Every single team in this league, yeah, right. And then why do you think the Super League? We were talking about the Super League the other day on the show. Why do you think the Super League is even being fought up in the first place? Because teams like Barcelona go and win their league and get 220 million quid for doing so. They didn't see a team that take the piss out of the Premier League, finish bottom of it, and get 200 million. No wonder they want a piece of the pie.
I get it, but Lee, go back to my point. This is my point. The problem is if we're gonna apply that theory, when you get to the FA Cup winners, let me pick a club. Let's say Newcastle United win the FA Cup, right? By the way, that's not my opinion that Newcastle United are going to win the FA Cup. If Eddie Howe, it'll be clipped, wouldn't it? If Eddie Howe wins the FA Cup, right? We can turn around and go, right, everyone else that didn't win anything needs to be sacked. I feel like it's you can't have that, can you? Like there's circumstances,
the circumstances and context. I understand what you're saying, right? But the way English football has this loser mentality is a disgrace. You finish bottom of the league and get 200 million quid.
Can I ask you a question? I want to throw something at you. I was talking to my brother was listening to one of our podcasts where we discussed this, and he's an Orient fan. They don't want to get promoted this year from League One to the Championship. Do you think that's a bad mentality to have?
Well, clearly, you don't want to get promoted. Okay. So you don't want to get promoted again after that.
No, I'll tell you why. The average club in the Championship loses £13 million a year. That's the average club because of what it costs to run and the amount of income they get. So they all, even the rich ones, lose around 13 million a year. If Leyton Orient at this point, because they're still building after being destroyed by a billionaire owner because FFP didn't exist back then and nearly put them out of business, they're losing around £3 million a year now and they're just keeping their heads above water. If they get promoted now with the team they have and they lose 13 million, there's a huge chance they go out of business and never exist again. So them having ambition is one thing, but the ambition at the moment is to stop the club from going out of business. Now, I understand your point about a team gets into the Premier League, there's riches in that, and there is a lot of money. But I think judging all football clubs at all levels based on if you're not trying to win everything, that means you've got bad ambition. You have to look at the situations at football clubs. And a lot of the clubs that get promoted, I've heard their owners talk about it. They said, look, we do want to spend, we want to stay here. But the money that's generated from being in the Premier League, we want to stay for a few years. That money can safeguard this football club for the next 50, 60, 70, 80 years, especially these tiny football clubs. Safeguarding the club from not ever going out of business is a huge and important part, not just for the football club in itself, but the community around it. So there is that element that always has to be considered when you're talking about the small teams.
Yeah, whilst that's all good. Yeah. Sorry, the aim of the sport is to win.
Yes.
That's why you get a medal and a trophy.
And of course it is. But the point I think you're missing here is if Orient just went hell for leather this year to go, right, let's get to the Championship, to get to the Prem to then try and win, there's far more chance at this stage of them literally never existing again. And I think it's a better bet to stay in your lane for a period of time and build your club up so it's more sustainable before going for broke. Portsmouth went for broke. They did win an FA Cup, but they almost went out of business. And do you think if they went out of business, they got saved in the end by the skin of their teeth? If they'd gone out of business and the club no longer existed, I guarantee you those fans would give back that FA Cup to actually have their football club back. If you were told now Arsenal's no longer going to exist next year, or you've got to give the Invincible Trophy back, surely you would rather your club exist than not have the Invincible Trophy.
Our fans en masse, mate, will keep that in. Is he yours gold?
No, but I think you would give it up, right? You'd give up being the Invincibles to make sure your club survives, and I think that's why you can't again have this monolithic view. I get that everyone's got to try and win a trophy.
It's about winning trophies. Yeah,
of course it is. Of course it is. Of course it is. Of course it is. But it still doesn't work in reality, does it? So if you look at Man City right now,
it doesn't work in reality because too many people have invested in football with losing mentality. Yeah,
no, it's not that. How many strikers in the world, for instance, are at Haaland and Mbappe's level?
That's probably about it, if we're being honest.
Okay,
maybe Harry Kane as well. Harry Kane. You know, how many goalkeepers are the level of Alisson? Yeah, just because. Hold on, because I know where you're going with this. Yeah, there's only a select handful of players that are top.
So this is also my point. I understand in theory what you mean, but you have to look at the application of your theory in reality.
So what is stopping every team like Crystal Palace and other teams taking the League Cup seriously then?
Well, again, let me finish the point that I'm making. I understand that element. I criticised West Ham the other day. I thought they should have played a stronger team against Liverpool. That isn't where we disagree. But this idea that if every owner and every club took it and tried to win and spent more money, they would be better. Or you may make every team better, but someone's still going to come 20th.
Yeah, but not every team's going to bother to do it, Terry. Hence why
not everybody. Even if every team in the Premier League spent every penny they earned, increased their wage bill by 200 million, 19 teams in the Premier League, well, pretty much 19 teams in the Premier League are not going to win the FA Cup. 19 teams in the Premier League are not going to win the League Cup, and 19 teams in the Premier League are not going to win the Premier League.
Ain't going to bother doing that because
whatever you do, there for the money, mate. In theory, if everyone did what you said, there'd still be as many losers.
Yeah, it's all good in theory, Terry. And very quickly, I just want to bring this comment up from Neil Jones. Southampton finished bottom last season, got 102.5 million. Yeah, I think you forgot the parachute payments that get added on, mate, which is 100 million. So that's 202 million. So there we go.
Can I add on to that? I think, look, again, I get it, right? I get that, yeah, the game is about winning, etc., etc. But let's take this theory that every club in the Premier League takes the cup seriously. Now, I'll bring my club into this, right? I see a lot of Spurs fans saying things like, you know what? I really want us to take the FA Cup seriously this year. I truly believe we can win it, right? Now, I'm not saying we can't, but the problem is if every single club did that, if every single club said, you know what, we're going to put our full strength team out in the League Cup, we are going to go for it. The likelihood is, the probability is, it's still going to be one of the big boys that wins that cup. It still won't be failure on the smaller teams that got knocked out by the bigger teams, because more often than not, the bigger teams win the trophies because they've got the best players. You get anomalies. Yes, you do. You get anomalies. But by rule, if we sat here right now, it'd be really boring for the viewers. But if we sat here right now and went through the last 20 winners of the Champions League, the last 20 winners of the League Cup, the FA Cup, the Premier League, it's always going to look, other than the one or two sprinkled, it's going to be the big clubs.
So that comes back to my exact point then. Not enough smaller teams take anything seriously because they're there for the TV revenue.
Yeah, but Lee, but my point is this: those bigger clubs will still always be the bigger clubs, and they'll still always have more chance of winning it. Like, as I said, when people talk to me about what if Spurs go all out to win the FA Cup this year? Sure, all right, we can go all out to win the FA Cup this year. Doesn't mean you don't draw Man City away in the fourth round.
Savva,
you're a better team
about the FA Cup like you didn't get knocked out the League Cup to Fulham in the second round.
No, hang on. Listen to what I'm saying. No. But listen to what I'm saying. This isn't about mocking Spurs. This is about all clubs. My point is this, right? Let's not take it back to that. Oh, I support them, you support them. That's silly, right?
No, I'm just giving you factual information. You're talking about clubs. I understand what you're saying, but you didn't even take the League Cup seriously, mate, and you ain't won nothing for 16 years.
Hang on, Lee. I agree with you. But my point is, if everybody adopted that, if everybody said, League Cup, we're putting out our best 11 for the League Cup games. Let's be brutally honest. Right now, we're probably sitting there without, is it Middlesbrough in the FA in the League Cup semi-final? We're probably sitting there without Fulham in the League Cup semi-final. You're probably sitting there with Man City, with Arsenal. If we're talking about everyone puts their best 11 out. And this is why I think it's really difficult to say that people have failed if they do not win a trophy. And this all started with, if Unai Emery doesn't win a trophy with Villa this year, why should he? There's better football clubs. Why should that be a determining factor as to if he's failed or not in his first?
Because the game is about winning trophies. It's a predefined metric that's been there from day dot. Hence why they hand trophies out for the winners. Yeah, if the trophies didn't matter, why is the size of a club judged on how many trophies it's won? Why is the winner given a trophy?
But saying he's failed, saying he should be sacked.
Savva, if you don't win, you've lost. It's as simple as that.
Hang on, I agree. We're talking about two different things, Lee. We're talking about two different things. Listen, no one could turn around, and we'll stick with what Terry asked, which was about Unai Emery winning something.
Yeah.
If Unai Emery doesn't win something, they've lost. Sure, they've lost. They didn't win, right? But that doesn't mean you sack a manager, because surely he never was. The remit was never Villa are expected to win a trophy.
Do you know what? Lee, again, I don't overly disagree with everything Lee said. Where again,
I agree.
You put the theory into practice. So again, when I look at Standard FC, they're now called online. Lee has started a whole group of people. They call themselves Standard FC. I do love it. People think I get triggered by it. I find it. I love the intellectual debate with Lee, and I love the conversation. Standard FC also don't want to hire managers who don't have the best CVs or that have fouled at other clubs. So if you put this practice into place of sacking the majority of managers every year that don't win, which invariably is going to be anywhere between 19, if a team wins a treble or a quad, right through the 16 managers sacked every year, over a 2, 3, 4, 5 year period, Standard FC and then not going to want any of those managers at their football clubs because they're all losers. So at the same time, you then create this site again. In theory, it works. In practicality, because of how high the standards are, you can never end up employing any of these managers ever again because they're all now considered losers.
Going back to
it doesn't work in reality. It doesn't work in reality.
What you and Savva were saying, yeah. If Savva says what he said about if all of the clubs took every cup seriously and took the league seriously, well, we might actually have a better product in the first place. Because what I've been watching this season is dog shit.
Well, the Premier League dog shit.
It is rubbish.
No.
Copy and paste that.
You contrarian, Lee.
Copy and paste that Aston Villa Sheffield United game. Yeah, that was what I was watching. Man United West Ham. Copy and paste that. That's what I was watching. Wolves Chelsea. It's the same crap. Now let me say this very quickly as well. Yeah, if these clubs that haven't won anything in their entire history, yeah, or in Savva's case for his team 16 years, then go and field.
You don't have to keep reminding me. I don't come onto every stream and go, when did we last win a trophy? I know, right?
It's 15 years, 300 and something days, mate, right? But if your team is serious about actually striving to win stuff, you don't get knocked out of the League Cup second round to Fulham.
I do have
this is where my point, and then this is where I get the ump with it. A team that has not won anything for so long, and I'm using that as an example because they should be beating Fulham. They're a bigger club than Fulham. They're a better team than Fulham on paper, and they've apparently got a better manager now. So,
okay, Lee, what did I say about Postecoglou? What did I say about Spurs and Postecoglou when he did what he did in the League Cup?
Yeah, no, I know, but you're one of
I came out and 90% of the Spurs fan base went mad at me.
Went crazy.
90% of the Spurs fan base went mad at me for saying, why didn't you put your best team out?
Let me just jump in a second. Listen, Lee, I don't disagree with your theory, but this is where the theory also falls down if you put it into practicality. You say all clubs should try and win all the trophies they're in. Let's just say we all agree on that for a moment. The biggest and the best clubs in England rotate and have to use their squad. Pep Guardiola has to use his squad to win the League Cup and the FA Cup as well as the Premier League. When the lesser teams rotate, their teams become weaker, and then they still will lose these cup games.
That sounds like a recruitment problem.
But you have the recruitment problem because, like we know, Man City.
Isn't it?
No, but you're not listening. This is where we go back to a point from other streams here. If Luton got a squad similar levels to Man City, so that it could rotate and still be as strong, their wage bill would be more than their income as a club, including Premier League TV money, meaning they'd go out of business and they wouldn't exist anymore.
Yeah,
so they
Terry,
can't
Terry,
build
you're
a
using
squad that
stupid
strong.
argument there,
No,
because
I'm
you're
not
saying if
using a
Luton
stupid
got a squad
argument
as good
because
as
no,
Man
I'm not.
City's,
Lee,
you
I'm
don't need
using
a squad
your
as good as
argument.
Man City's to finish above Man City, mate.
Lee. But you're talking about if they don't achieve what City have achieved.
No. Hold up.
They're failure.
Hold up.
You
No.
can't, Lee.
Hold
Let
up.
me finish. Lee, no, let me finish the point. You are never going to. I get your theory, but when you think your theory through into practicality, you're still going to have to rotate. The smaller teams will still have weaker squads than the bigger teams and the bigger clubs, even if every club pumps every penny into players. So the same small clubs will still, generally speaking, be knocked out earlier in these cup competitions than the big clubs. You'll end up in the same situation. All that changes is the relativity. If you're going 30 miles an hour, if you're driving in a row of cars and you're all going 30 miles an hour and you look across at each other, it will look the same if you were all driving 130 miles an hour because you're all traveling at the same speed.
You don't need to have a better squad.
It's going to end up in the same place.
You don't have to have a better squad than Man City to beat Man City to a trophy. Facts. Yeah, of Middlesbrough.
No, but no one has said that. No one has said that. No one said that.
You did, because you said if Luton Town.
No, I didn't say that, Lee. We don't need to. I didn't say that. I turned around and said invariably the lesser teams are still going to go out to the bigger teams on a more regular basis if they're all behaving in the same way. Because they all have to. Because you know as well as I do, generally speaking, Luton, Burnley, Villa. Who else can I throw in there as a middle-of-the-road team? Brentford. No matter how much money they spend, if all the owners did what you said, the bigger clubs would still have better squads. They would still have lesser teams when rotating than the bigger clubs. So invariably, the bigger teams would still win. Nothing would change.
Nobody's doing that, Terry. So if 5 or 6 teams bothered to do that out of the 20 in the league, take the top ones out of the way, because the top ones are the top ones. But if there's 5 or 6 teams lower down that spectrum of the table, right, actually start taking stuff seriously. Yeah, they might force their way into a conversation. You might see an Everton finish 4th. You might see a Crystal Palace nick a League Cup. Yeah, they don't bother because they're not interested, because going to win the League Cup is giving you 100 grand, mate. Finishing another position higher is giving you 4
understand. I do understand the element of that. I just don't think this is extremely just. I want to get to the rest of these super chats before we move on to Chelsea, boys. Lee says Spurs should be beating Fulham, but would also think Fulham are failures if they don't beat Spurs and don't win a cup. There is definitely a bit of what I would call. Lee's very clever. Lee creates standards that are double-edged because it means either side of that standard, when he applies it to 2 teams playing, he can say that they've got bad standards. It's very clever.
Who did Fulham get knocked out to in the next round?
Don't remember.
I'm having a look.
Fulham just lost to Chelsea, didn't they?
Chelsea, yeah.
So they just lost to a Chelsea team, that are absolutely garbage. Yeah, got a load of players that
played a strong team though. Played a strong team.
Yeah,
I don't think the Premier League.
They should have been competing better with Chelsea, the current Chelsea. Cool. Yeah. So again, they failed, didn't they?
But earlier you said
current Chelsea team that's in the gutter.
Let's just get through some more of these super chats here. Sorry, I don't think the Premier League quality and enjoyment has been amazing either. Compared to other leagues, it's been poor. Yep. Fair dues. And Strasbourg Steve's the only person that I take massively seriously on this. Of course, to take leadership, and I watched it because I know he actually watches multiple leagues. Are you a failure, Lee? Because you aren't bigger creator? Nonsense. We're not going into that. Lee is not a failure. Come on, we're having a debate about football.
Hold on. Sorry. Fulham are actually in the semi-finals, aren't they? Yeah, they are. They got Liverpool in the semi-final of the EFL Cup.
Oh, they're still in it. Sorry.
They beat Everton on penalties.
No. We were talking of, who are we thinking of then?
Newcastle they knocked out. They knocked out Newcastle.
Sorry,
yeah. That's it. You threw me.
See, Fulham
that could have been Tottenham Hotspur that have not won a trophy for 16 years playing against Liverpool in the EFL Cup semi-final.
And then they go out. Anyway, they won't win. Don't know what they do, Lee.
Well, they beat them last time they played them.
I get that. But let's just try and get through these super chats before we get on to the next subjects, boys. Orient is an exception to the rule. Premier League clubs aren't skinned, are they? Lee is concerned with the intent. He knows not all 20 clubs can win the Premier League. I understand that, but you have to look at all I understand. I'm just using it as an example because we've had this conversation before that all clubs should be trying to win. You have to look at the individual club circumstance. You could go for it as a promoted club, overspend, still get relegated because you made mistakes. You had the right intent, but that overspending can still see you go bankrupt in 3 or 4 years' time, even with parachute payments.
Who says you have to overspend? There's teams in this Premier League that might stay up that have spent nothing. Luton's one of them.
Yeah.
So they haven't overspent. Have they?
But Brighton have barely spent, and you say they don't spend enough.
Yeah, they don't. They've got 260 million profit sat in the bank.
When did they get 260 million profit?
They've sold 400 million quid worth of players.
No, that's not how profits work. What do the trading accounts say?
They've sold 400 million
pounds
worth of footballers. No, where were they?
Real. It's not real.
Okay, cool. That's great. Fantastic.
Profit works.
They have sold players worth 400 million quid. So they're going to get payments every year for the lifetime of that contract of the players that they've sold. Is that correct? So they sell Caicedo for 115 mil. He's on a contract. They're going to get a payment on that player.
Lee. Let's wait and see. Lee, firstly, let's wait and see what their income is. Secondly, we know the new rules that are coming down. Clubs soon are going to be capped.
So you're telling me that Brighton can't spend any more money?
Please let me finish. No, I'm not saying that. Listen about the finances. One, net spend does not determine how much profit you've made. Net spend is not used at football clubs. It doesn't exist in football. Secondly, there's a new legislation that's coming in for teams that want to compete. And that is that you can't spend more than 70% of your turnover on players and salaries. So that means, yes, you may increase your salary, your income for one particular trading year if you're selling people. But if you increase your salary and your overarching spend that's going to go beyond that 1 year of trading, you could then go above your 70% of income in 3 years' time and be banned from competing. It isn't as simple as just spending everything that comes in. Like it really isn't. It really isn't that simple.
Again, it comes back to being a recruitment problem then, because they've recruited the players that are not good enough.
No, it's not. Guys, I've really got to get through these super chats and move on to the next subject. Please let us get through them, please. Thank you. Be rotating managers in the league every year. Yeah, we would. It'd be crazy.
Yeah,
Debbie here says,
is the best ability, baby.
Question to all of you: if you ask La Liga teams about phases of managers, what would they say? I don't know.
Big up there.
He lives in Spain.
Mate, they don't waffle about top 4 races here and who won the transfer window and like all that rubbish here. Yeah, you have to win. Hence why Debbie's team, Barcelona, their fans are not happy at all. The fact that Xavi is sat 4th after winning a title. No sentiment, mate. If he don't win anything, he's gone.
Yep. This here says Burton Albion have a chance to win the FA Cup this season. If they don't, their manager should be sacked.
They also have a chance to win the Johnston Paid Trophy, didn't they?
You guys speak facts, no bullshit here. Morning from Vancouver. Thank you, brother. Do Aston Villa still have American owners? I haven't looked. I wouldn't know. I need to go and check. Terry Cookley on this. The only thing I will say is that the standard for Arsenal has got to be win the league or you've fouled. He's right on that. I agree on that one. Lee doesn't make... I've already done that one here. For that one, this is you say Martinelli. Sorry. Sad. Sorry. Martinez said Emery is telling the squad they are in a title race. Agree with Lee. Villa shouldn't be up there. Emery over Arteta, in my opinion. Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah, the club have actually said that they're in a title race.
Yeah. So there you go.
Fair enough.
The elite mentality.
Fair enough.
Which is why my question was, since he said it, they've fouled against 2 teams that are struggling. That's why I asked the bottle question.
But guess what? I like the mentality because Newcastle last season, every time Eddie Howe was getting interviewed, was saying we're taking it game by game. Yeah, no, they're in a title race because then when it comes to the end of the season, the last 3 months, they're not going to have that mentality of, oh my God, we're still there. What do we do now? Yeah.
What's up, guys? Lee Gunner, where do the Invincibles rank amongst Premier League winners? Given that you judge things based on trophies, to me, there's no correct answer. Where do you think they rank the Invincibles?
It was a fantastic achievement, a joy to watch, but they won 1 trophy. They won 1 trophy. Yeah, so a team that done a double, i.e. 02 and 98, they're better Arsenal teams, aren't they? They've done a double.
Aston Villa lost because Emery is not adjusting his high line in games, is what Omar believes.
Thanks.
This here says, tell you got to buy merch now. Super 6 United are back. Told you when I'll buy merch, when we see the plan from Sir Jim, it's already been spoken. I mean, it's a weird one. So he actually, if he doesn't, he's got to buy the club, basically. I've read a rumor, it's not been substantiated yet, that he has to then buy the entirety of the club within 3 years. If he doesn't hit a certain marker by that point, he loses everything and they get it all, which is quite normal in these kind of deals. So if there's a plan to move him out and I like who they bring in to run the club, then I will financially support the club because the end result will be getting the Glazers out and I want him to have as much money as possible to remove them.
It's not about winning trophies to then financially support the club. It's about getting the Glazers gone in the hope that the other lot might be better.
Yes. I mean, absolutely, because the Glazers are the reason that we've stopped winning the major trophies. So them being removed is they are the ultimate reason we are where we are. So removing them has to be like as root cause analysis. You know, if I've got a brain tumor, there's no point me celebrating that my headache's gone because I took a strong painkiller. I need the tumor removed, and it's as simple as that. So yes, absolutely. Arsenal just won 2 games more than United. Yeah, United won a lot of games this year for a really bad team. It's been crazy, to be fair. League Gunner in the Man United game, they won't come back from this. 30 minutes later, you've only scored 1 Premier League goal. Why are you celebrating? You crack me up, Lee. That's also what it is a little bit as well. Lee saw that his prediction was wrong, and his best friend Unai Emery got
when the second half kicked off and he had that goal disallowed. Yeah, I actually thought they'd given the goal because he went like this and pointed.
And they pointed the spot. Yeah.
So I changed the score and I was like, right, they're back in the game, but there's no way they're going to come back. This is going to be 3 or 4-1. And then the whole chat was lighting up because I was pouncing around on another screen. Yeah, and then I went looking at the screen, the monitor with the game on. And everyone's going, no, it's still 2-0, mate. I was like, what? He gave you the goal.
Do you know what it was? What they actually did is they used the reverse camera. So he wasn't. You know when they do reverse angle cameras? It was a reverse angle camera for everybody watching at home. I'm sure it did. Clown settings, narratives coming. Thank you, Baths. The Three Stooges. Lee has a black belt in negativity. Big up Lee, Terry. Yeah. Big up Lee, Terry, and Sav. Why are United fans so gassed? Also, Spurs won't make top 4. You heard it here first. Some Man United fans have gone over the top, but then the ones who are backing the manager, I understand them being gassed. It is what it is. I'm always going to celebrate a win. Man, that's Strasbourg, Steve here. Thank you for gifting those members earlier, by the way, Steve. He says, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, guys. You all 3 are the best out there on YouTube. Thank you. Love that. And Terry, I'm happy for your team, but hopefully that happens to my Barca. Still think it is a pipe dream. Xavi out and hope it is the same. Oh, she's gone Xavi out. Debbie's gone Xavi out.
I told her at the start of the season you should be Xavi out. Yeah? El Sapo en la basura. Yeah, the toad in the bin, bruv. He looks like a toad. Yeah, he's not a good manager, and he got very, very fortunate that then Madrid's last season were trash.
Before we move on to Chelsea, I just want to ask you, it's been announced that Romero is going to be out for 5 to 6 weeks with a hamstring injury. So both of your main centre-backs now out, Sav. Is it time to dip into the January window that opens in 3 days? Todibo, should he be bought on the 1st of Jan, New Year's Day?
Yes. Yes. It was time to dip into the transfer window in the summer. I think if you speak to most Spurs fans, they'll tell you that in the window we needed 2 or 3 centre halves, and we got Van der Ven and then Ashley Phillips, who's 18 from Blackburn and played like 7 or 11 professional games in his career. So listen, it's coming back to haunt us, but luckily, depending on how Daniel Levy sees fit to get his wallet out, the transfer window opens in 4-5 days. Yeah, if we've got any aspirations, Terry, it should be week 1, day 1, whatever, bash, there's your money down on Todibo or someone like that. In you come to the team and crack on with it. We can't keep using these excuses that players get injured. Everyone has injuries. Players get injured all the time. And if you leave yourself this short, if you leave yourself where your centre-halves after your first 2 are out are fullbacks, i.e. Emerson Royale, Ben Davis, that's on you. So for me, yeah, Daniel Levy's got to sort it out. Got to go and get a player. Listen, whether it's Todibo or not, you've got to get another centre-half, minimum of 1. For me, I think you need 2. But will Levy do it? I don't know, because do you know what, Terry? The last thing I'll say on this, for me, this isn't just about, this isn't just about the short term. This is about a long-term thing. If we're going to get Europe, I think we'll get Europe. If we get European football next year, we can't go into 4 competitions with 2 centre-halves. It's absolutely madness how they didn't plan for this at all. So, it's on him. We'll see.
Yeah, they've got to go and spend now that he's out. I mean, you guys had some good results recently, but I'm just going to be annoyed if I know that they're not ratified as our new owners yet. Todibo is a lot of, I always ask Strasbourg Steve when it comes to a French player, what's he like? There's a guy called European lad as well that I talk to online who watched a lot of French football, and there's a lot of talk about Todibo being, potential to be a real top player. I'll be gutted if Man United let you go and get him. I really will be gutted because we need somebody like him. We need someone that can stay fit, who's good on the ball, who's got good positional sense, but also has got that athleticism needed in the Premier League. Because if you're not an athlete in the Premier League these days, you struggle. So, do you think they'll do it, Lee? Do you think they'll go out and buy a replacement now that Romero's out for like 6 weeks, or do you think this will be typical Spurs January window?
the history of Daniel Levy, isn't it? Yeah, left them short in the summer. So it sits and tells them the day after they get knocked out of a League Cup game against Fulham that they've got their Tottenham back. Everyone's loving life. The cheese room's full. The longest bar in the world's full. Everyone's jumping up and down at Ange. Like, oh, he's changed. Oh, we've got great football. And ultimately, a couple of injuries and suspensions, and all of a sudden, they didn't win for 6 weeks. And then it's the excuse of, we've got loads of players out injured. I know Savva's not one for saying that, but a lot of their fans are, oh, but we've got injuries. We've got injuries. Well, why were you all jumping for joy in the summer then when you knew you were left short? Yeah, and again, I just heard Savva say that you probably do need two. You definitely need two. You need more midfielders. You need another attacker. Yeah, you definitely need 2 centre-backs. Yeah, Romero's a red card waiting to happen every game.
This is it. It's not just the injuries, Lee. This guy, I would love to know how many games this guy's missed in his career due to suspensions and injuries. Like he did this last year where he seemed to get injured in and around the Christmas time. Suspensions, I mean, let's be fair, he's lucky he didn't get another suspension with the tackle on Callum Wilson. Listen, good player, but you can't rely on. I don't think you can rely on him, and that's why I've always said when people talk about who are the top centre halves, it's why I don't put him up there. I think he's the next notch down because of his his lack of reliability, right? So, but look, either way, you've got to buy Lee. We can't put in Davis and Dyer tomorrow night against Brighton, right? I'm not saying we can't win, but you can't.
Don't worry, that little hippie down at Brighton, you'll beat them regardless, mate.
but mate, listen, you can't put in Davis and Dyer away at Brighton, and then we go, oh, but our players are injured. Well, hang on, this is the squad we went into the season with. You knew.
Happy with.
Right. So this is the thing. When there are fans jumping up and down, telling everyone we're in a title race and telling everyone we're amazing, take these things into account. Injuries happen. Another one I keep hearing, right, is when everyone's back fit. I keep saying to everyone, how do you know you're ever going to have everyone fit at one point? You just don't know.
It never happens.
No, exactly.
Over the course of a season, you'll always have one or two out.
Exactly. So all of this, like the guy who's in the chat, he's in all my chat. He's a great guy, Mark Changle, always going, oh, fact. If Maddison and Van der Ven hadn't been injured, we'd be second. If Butts maybe he's monkey nuts, right? No one can say that. You can't say if these two. Here he is. Look. Mark Changle, Savatal, who's both centre halves, is OTT, mate.
Well, maybe demand more centre halves then.
But Lee, guys, Lee, Terry, Mark, it wouldn't be OTT if you had another centre back. Because right now, if you had a third centre back, you could go, all right, Davis will do a job alongside a Todibo. Now it's not a problem. But when you're when you're saying this is what he's left us with, we had a whole summer, but we chose to buy Ashley Phillips, we chose to buy Valise, we chose to spend nearly 50 million on Brennan Johnson. Centre back was what we needed. Centre back, centre forward. Hence why I think everyone needs to take a breath. If they're a Spurs fan, enjoy this season. And then see what we do in the summer. Then talk about what can we challenge for.
I'll be honest with you, Sav. Standards are so low from you. Standards,
mate.
He's Spursy, isn't he? Spursy. He's falling into the Spursy trap.
Yeah.
Next
season's our year.
Listen, do you know what it is? It's all on that. It's what it's always been on. It's all on Daniel Levy.
Yeah, but Savvy, he's
every year it's on Daniel Levy.
Spin. He's a master at spin, and he's a master at PR, and he's a master of getting the journos out there. What's the guy's name who writes for Footy London for you lot? Like, is a Spurs.
Alistair Gold.
Alistair Gold. Jesus Christ, mate, that guy. He must be getting them brown envelopes big time from Daniel Levy, mate. Because some of the stuff I see him write about Tottenham is crazy. Yeah. Like it's unbelievable. But what it does is it gets a lot of people on side. And then when that becomes the majority, Daniel Levy wins again. How can you get knocked out of a League Cup in the second round and then the very next day have a fan forum that he hasn't done for 7 years, by the way, and sit there, barefaced, smiling, just smiling to all the fans that are there? Well, I must say, we've got our Tottenham back. Ha, ha, ha. And everyone's
Can I tell you though, guys, one of the problems, I think, listen, I love Ange. He's a very good manager, got a lot to learn, but I think he's going to be fine, right? Ange has made a rod for his own back, guys, because he's come out and said, every player that comes into this club, I sign off on. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
No one joins the club without my say-so. So now what that means is when Spurs sign players now and people go, before it was like, oh, no, that was a Levy signing, like Jed Spence, people like that. So Levy's, no, now it's all on Ange. Ange has said,
He's a liar.
I agree. I wouldn't have said it.
When Man United manager do that, our fans say that makes him a puppet. Is that what Big Ange, is Ange a Levy puppet?
Yep.
Everyone's a Levy puppet. Who are we kidding? Who are we kidding here? We had two of the greatest winners of the last 10, 20 years, right? And everyone turned around and said, oh, when Jose comes in, when Conte comes in, they'll be given the tools. And then you see the windows we had with those managers and you go, sorry, listen, not in a bad way. I'm not knocking Ange. Same way I'm not knocking Conte or Redknapp or Poch or Jose. Daniel Levy runs the show. Anyone who thinks otherwise hasn't supported Spurs long enough. And what people are hanging on to now is because we bought a couple of really good players in the window, right? Because we got Van de Ven, Maddison and Vicario, who have all done brilliantly. Everyone's going, it's different. It's different. Nah, I'm not judging if it's different on one transfer window. Show me the next 4 or 5 transfer windows. If I'm still bringing in Van de Ven's, Maddison's, it's different. But also in that window was Solomon, who was a free. That's why we got him, right? He's okay, right? Brennan Johnson at 50 million. Sorry, you're telling me we couldn't have found a better footballer for 50 million than Brennan Johnson? Valise, an 18-year-old striker who he doesn't give minutes to. Phillips, an 18-year-old centre-back that can't get a game even when our centre-backs are out injured. Time is everything, right? Time. And this is the thing. When people have a go at me constantly, get behind the manager. It's not the manager I've got to get behind here, right? It's not the manager I need to get behind. It's the owners and what they do. So listen, I'll round off by saying this. If next week, Terry, to answer your original question, if next week Spurs go, boom, there's Todibo and he's playing, I'll turn around and go, all right, cool, you mean business. Now what are you going to do? Boom, there's Santiago Jimenez. You go, oh, hang on. Are we serious here? Like, forget about this year's league, but are we serious about trying to do something? Until I see it, I'm not believing it.
No, why are you saying forget this year's league when you're, 4 points behind Arsenal?
Why am I saying it?
Yeah, you just said forget this year's league. You're 4 points off Arsenal. Sorry, Liverpool. A couple up ahead, so you're about 6 off the top or whatever. Yeah,
look, just purely because for me, I think that at this time of the year, you start to see the men from the boys. You start to see the people that have been there, seen it, done it, the know-how, how to get over the line. We've the injuries mean now we've got to play absolutely crap players.
Yeah, but you're 6 points off the top with a game in hand, and you're saying forget this year's league.
I don't think we're good enough to overtake all those teams above us.
I agree.
I don't think we're good enough.
But that mentality right there, and it's not a dig at you personally, because I know you're a good guy and I know you've got the standards as well. However, you're 6 points off the top as it stands right now. Obviously, Arsenal play tomorrow, so it could be 7 off the top. But then you win your game, you'll then be 4 off the top. If Arsenal are top, it'll be 4 off the top.
Everything we've just talked about, Lee, is why. Because we have now got no Van de Ven, no Romero, no Bentancur, no Maddison.
Can I just interject for a second? Again, I know this is not exactly what Sav said word for word, but what I interpreted when he says forget this season, I didn't mean that as doesn't matter what happens this season. It was forget about winning the league this season. I don't think it's achievable, but I still think he wants to see his team improve, play better football, close the gap, continue to get better.
But this is where I disagree, right? You're 6 points off the top with a game in hand. You're expected to beat Brighton. They're in free fall. They're not very good. I did tell everyone.
I don't think we are expected to beat them now.
Mate, you're Tottenham Hotspur. They're Brighton. They're in free fall, and their manager's not very good. Right, and you've got a better squad.
Look at the team we'll be putting out.
But you've got a better squad, a better manager than them. You should be beating them, regardless. You should be beating them. But if you do beat them, you are then going to be a maximum of 4 points off the top if Arsenal do their job against West Ham. 4 off the top. That is where, when you're saying, "Oh, I don't think we can win," this is where your fan base en masse should be demanding Daniel Levy to get his wallet out. Yeah, and saying this is an opportunity for us to win the league here. Instead,
but Lee, you're doing that thing again. You're doing that thing again. No, but Lee, you're doing that thing again. No, but Lee, you're doing that thing again. It's, do I want us to kick on and win the league from this position? Absolutely. Do I think we're ready? Do I think the owner's going to do that? No, I don't. There's a huge difference. Me sitting here going, you know what? I think we win the league. That won't change what Daniel Levy's going to do. It won't change it, right? I don't think. Look, there's a lot to be said. I said this, Terry. I mean, I don't know how many times I come on your show last year and said this, and all the Arsenal people in your chat had to go at me when I turned around and said, "Listen, there's a difference between saying you're going to win the league and having the know-how to get over the line." And that's why I always said City, you've got that know-how. And what happened last season? City's know-how came out on top when they went on the business end. Look, I think if Spurs had everyone fit, and this is the thing, I'm not making excuses for that, but that's what we're left with. If Spurs had everyone fit, I'd be sitting here right now going, you know what, I don't think, and I agree with your earlier point, Lee, I don't think the league's that great. I keep watching games and watching hardly anyone can control a ball anymore. Like hardly anyone can cross a football anymore. Yeah. Like no one can defend. Like defenders can't defend anymore. Like anyway, I just don't think we're quite there yet. Listen, do you know what? Can we agree on something? If Spurs went on to win the league this year, right? Postecoglou deserves a statue. After 1 year outside the ground, from where we were to winning the league would be unbelievable. But I don't think we're there. That's just, I don't think we're there yet.
You're not there because of that mentality, Savva. Yeah,
no, we're not there because of the players in the squad. That's not. It's not my mentality, Lee.
No, but that comes back to no. And listen, it's not a dig at you. Yeah, it's not a dig at you. But what I'm saying is, okay, maybe it is then. But either way, no, either way. But either way, you're 6 points off of the top of the table with a game in hand. Yeah, if you win your game in hand and Arsenal win theirs, you'll be a maximum of 4 off the top of the table.
I understand the math.
Halfway point, and you're saying you're not there. Well, you are there.
But Lee, can I ask?
No, you're not listening. Lee, you're doing that thing again where you're not listening.
Lee, can I ask you a question, Lee? Do you think Spurs are good enough to win the league?
If Spurs get a January transfer winner, I've said this about Arsenal, City, and Liverpool, right? But
isn't this what I'm saying?
No, but this is my point, Savva. You've accepted, that Daniel Levy will not do what you want him to do this January window. So you're basing it for next season. You're in a position now where this league, any one of them top 5 teams can win that title. Let's just have it right here. Anyone from Liverpool to Man City, they can. Well, they're there.
But Lee, again, I don't believe that at all. I don't believe any one of those 5 can win it. There is a huge difference.
Daniel Levy won't spend any money, mate.
Lee, you talk about it like it's so black and white.
Sav, sorry, let me jump in for a second. I want to ask Lee a question. Savva not believing that Spurs can win the league.
Yeah.
How does that? Why does that stop Daniel Levy?
Exactly.
No. Hold up. No, because you're putting 2 different things together. What I'm saying is, Spurs haven't. No. Let me explain then. Spurs haven't won anything for 16 years. They're in a position right now where they are 6 points off the top of the table with a game in hand and could be a maximum of 4 off the top if Arsenal win and they win, right? So if they win and Arsenal win, they're 4 off the top. If Spurs don't win and Arsenal win, then cool, it's a bigger gap, whatever, yeah? Cool. However, 6 points is not massive in this league. It's a couple of games spin, right? And anyone in that top 5, please let me just say this last bit. Anyone in that top 5 that goes out and does what's required in January, will go on and win that title.
Okay.
Yeah, because if Liverpool go and get a centre-back and a CM, they'll probably win the league. If Man City get their act together and go and sign a midfielder in the January window, they probably win the league. If Arsenal go and buy a striker and a midfielder, they probably win the league. If
hang on. Sorry, I've got to jump in. I'm sorry, I've got to jump in here because you've set off certain Spurs fans in the chat now that that's it, Lee. It's the negative energy of fans like Savva why we're not winning. No, it's not, right? Listen, the reason the reason why Spurs, right, Mark, I'm going to talk to one guy in the chat, Mark Changor. By the way, I get on with Mark. He comes into my show. He's a good guy. But Mark, you're the one that when a few players are injured say, oh, but the injuries, then say we can win this league. Which one is it? If you think we can win the league, don't make excuses about injuries. Right? Sorry, I mean it. If you think we can win this league, don't talk about injuries. But what people like you do, Mark, is you turn around and say, oh, but we didn't win that game because of injuries. Oh, if we'd had them, we'd win the league. BS. Spurs won't win this league, not because of Lee Gunner telling you all that Savva and fans like me are the ones not holding Daniel Levy accountable. Spurs won't win this league because of the squad we have got. Savva won't say we're going to win the league because Savva doesn't believe it, right?
No,
if I talk about myself in the third person, right? Daniel Levy for 23 years has shown me and all the Spurs fans, even if they're in denial, that when push comes to shove, when we're in this position. Now, please forget if you all hate Spurs. We've been in this position many times before, guys. And Daniel Levy never goes, you know what? Now's the time to kick on, because
so why
he doesn't.
The fans on mass demand more then?
But Lee, I get it, but that would never happen, because look at the fan. You think it's fans like me. Look at the fans in the chat.
It's not, it's not fans. Right? No, Savva.
Look at the fans.
You did that the wrong way.
No. I hear you. But look at the fans in the chat that just go, we're in a title race, we're going to win. Daniel Levy loves those fans. Daniel Levy loves those fans because they truly believe it. I'm looking going, I don't think we're quite ready yet. This owner needs to add. And I'm not talking about one transfer window. This squad needs to get better and better and better and better.
We're talking about the up-and-coming transfer window when you're 6 points off the top with a game in hand. So it is one window.
But it's not. This is the thing. But this is the thing. This is where, as a football fan, right? This is the thing. This is with your right nowism versus what I want for my club long term, right? One window for me. I don't think whatever we do in this window, Spurs go on and win a title. I don't. I think that there are better teams that will buy. There are better teams with more know-how. I think we will be 4th or 5th or 6th, right? That's where I think we will be with the squad we've got. We can't cope with the injuries like other clubs can, because he's only been here 6 months, 5 months, right? And I think deep down, most of the fans from the other clubs, they might want to hate me, so they'll just have a pop at me. I think they know what I'm saying is true. I think they know that Spurs aren't ready to win a Premier League title.
Yeah, but when you say Spurs aren't ready, that's where I take I look at it and I just think you're 6 points off the top of the table. Yeah, when was the last time you were 6 points off the table halfway through the season, going into a January transfer window? This is
we've done it before. Hang on, we've done this before.
Say one more thing very quickly. I'll shut up. When Arsenal this time last year were top of the table, the World Cup had just finished, and we'd just done our Boxing Day game. Right, I was sat there when we were about 7 points clear going in. We were 7 points clear on the 12th of January, right? And I'm sitting there demanding signings all the way through November, December. I'm going, get me signings, get me signings, get me signings, get me signings. We were 7 points clear, Savva. Yeah, yes. Get me signings, get me signings, get me signings. Because I didn't believe Arsenal could win it unless we got a few more signings. But guess what? They went and signed Kivior and Jorginho after getting Trossard in. Jorginho, what are you doing? Kivior, who are you? Your wife's more famous for twerking than you are for playing football, mate. She's the twerk champion of Europe. Right? And this is my point. I'm calling it out when my team were top 7 points clear, saying get signings or we ain't winning it. My club CEO went on Sky Sports on the 12th of January and said top 4's the aim.
But Lee, I agree with you. But the point is, Lee, I agree with you. The point is, look how many Spurs fans don't feel that way. So many Spurs fans.
And that's why you won't win anything.
Right, okay, but it's not me. I want better. I'm someone for 23 years of these owners that have said, I hate the way they run this club, right? I hate the way they run this club. We must do better to win a title. The funny thing is, the number of people say negative Savva, negative this. Now flip this, right? And Terry, you know this. Let's flip this. Savva's sitting here saying, I don't think we're going to win the league, right? Now imagine I sat here and said to every other fan base, Spurs are winning this league. They'll also have a pop at me. Oh, Savva's deluded. You're an idiot. Spurs are rubbish. You can't win.
No, you can't. Win. We're just one fan of our fan base.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah. We're one fan of our fan base. But, mate, we say it's just 6 points. But for me, I've said this. Nothing has changed in my mind, right? I've said I think the top 3 are better than everyone else, and they will pull away because it's not about what happens in October, November, December. It's what happens in January, February, March that sets you up for the final push. And I think those clubs have the know-how. If Spurs are there with 7 or 8 games to go, 10 games to go, right, and we are 3, 4, 5 points off, go for it. But you know what? I'll throw this back to people. I'll throw this back to all the Spurs fans saying that I'm negative. Let me throw this back to you. All of those fans saying we can win a league title. When we don't, right, are they telling me that Pochettino has failed? Because they said we'd win a league title. So if I come back, I'm asking you two seriously. If I come back, no, listen, you see what I'm saying, right? If I come back at the end of the season and I go, well, look, we didn't win the league, but I'm not shocked. And then it'll go, oh, but what a good season. No, hang on. No. You said we're winning it. So by your admission, you positive people, all the positive fans, we failed, right? Can't have it both ways. We're either winning it or we're not. I don't think we will. If you guys think we will and we don't, he's failed. Am I right?
Well, based off of their logic, yeah. But one thing you just said as well is if we're 4, 5, 6, 7 games to go and we're there or thereabouts 6 points off the top, go for it. But you won't be able to go for it because your fan base en masse, not all, but en masse, didn't do enough to put pressure on Daniel Levy in the transfer window upcoming
They never
in January,
have.
which means that you won't have enough to go for it with 5, 6, 7, 8 games to go. So you need to get on them now when you're 6 points off the top with a January window opening.
Lee, I agree, but this is I can't keep going through this. 23 Lee, 23 years of these owners, not one part of me says they're serious. Do you know what they're serious for? Champions League revenue. They're serious for that. But you know what? All of a sudden now, even the people that were Levy out, blah, 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 they've suddenly stopped because Spurs have had a good start to the season. They've stopped because fans, they forget so quickly. Like, I'll agree. So my mate Mark, who's in the chat again, right? This is what cracks me up. So I'm negative. Lee, I agree with you. Savva's negative. Savva this, whatever. And he's put, no. No, Postecoglou wouldn't have failed because I can see beyond that with Ange. Isn't that what I'm saying?
Yes.
Aren't I sitting here saying I'm seeing beyond that? You can't have it both ways, Mark. We're either winning it or not.
A lot of people want to be seen as title contenders, but with zero pressure upon them to win.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they want their cake and eat it. Viewers, hit the like button for us, subscribe if you haven't done so already. Chelsea have a big game tonight. I want to throw a stat up, boys. This stat is a madness. No side have lost more Premier League matches in 2023 than Chelsea. 19 games they have lost, whilst only 3 sides have lost more across the big 5 European leagues this calendar year. They've lost 19 games. They're playing Palace tonight, and they have a number of players out injured, a numbers of players out suspended. Do you see Chelsea's crisis furthering tonight, Lee, or do you think Chelsea will come up trumps and beat Crystal Palace at the Bridge tonight?
Well, firstly, you said it's a big game. Why is it a big game?
It's a big game.
Big game for what?
That's a good question. I think it's a big game because they're under a lot of pressure. That's what I mean. There's a lot.
They're not under pressure at all. What are you waffling about pressure? They're not under pressure. They're all on 8-year contracts, mate. What they're under pressure for? They've sorted their future out for the next 8 years, mate. Yeah. Even if they win, they can't move up the table, I don't think. Yeah, maybe they can go. Yeah, maybe they can move up to 10th and go above Bournemouth. Yeah, if Palace win, then they go up to 13th. Yeah, massive, mate. Huge. All right, what are we doing here, Tel? It's not a massive game. It's 2 average teams. In fact, below average teams, 2 mid-table teams. Yeah, it's a dead rubber, and it's got 0-0 or 1-0 written all over it either way. What are we doing about big game? Was it a big game for?
Big. It's Chelsea.
Big for what? No, Chelsea used to win Champions Leagues and league titles, Terry. How's this a big game? They're 11th.
Yeah, but based on where but like you said, based on where they should be because of their name, it's a big game, right?
Well, based on their name, they shouldn't be 11th, and their fan base is taking it all too easily.
Yeah, which is why.
Points. So let's stay in the league.
Do you think their fans? You don't think Chelsea fans are bothered by where they are in the league?
No, some Chelsea fans are, but there's not enough of them that are bothered enough to do anything about it. Yeah, because at the end of the day, that club has been buried inside 18 months. Yeah, literally buried. Yeah, stripped out everything that was Chelsea. Yeah, big up Minerals. Yeah, he's landing the Minerals. Big up Johnny. Yeah, everything about that football club is nothing like what it was when Roman was there. And Bowley and that lot have come in, absolutely decimated that football club. You could make a movie, it'd be the best seller ever. How to ruin a football club in 18 months. They're spending $1 billion.
Starring Matthew McConaughey. It's like a Matthew McConaughey style film, isn't it?
It's not a big game. How's it a big game? Where are Chelsea genuinely finishing this season? It ain't top, so it ain't a big game. Yeah, it ain't a big game. What's their projection for the season? Based off of the stat you've just put up on the screen, 19 losses in 2023. Yeah, if you go back to 2022 and bring up that stat, it'll be a little bit better. A little bit better. But let's not pretend that this team are a good team. They're an average team full of players that are way too comfy with no pressure on them whatsoever because they're on 8-year contracts. Yeah, they're sorted. They're on 80, 90, 100 grand a week. Yeah, the manager couldn't care less. He looked like that against Wolves. He was just pacing up and down, sat on the bench, sitting there thinking, I'm only here for the money, mate. I'll get sacked. I'll get a nice little payoff and somebody else will give me a gig. Yeah, it's a mess. Yeah, none of them care. You got Raheem Sterling clean through on goal with 2 men to square it to, and he scuffs it straight at the keeper. You know, do you think he cares? No. Yeah, you got Mikhail Mudryk running around. Like, I mean, what is that Barnet all about? Jesus Christ. Yes, seriously. Like, I'm so glad we did not sign that player, mate. And our fans had their pants around their ankles for him. Based off what? Nobody watches Shakhtar, mate. Even in the Champions League, you ain't watching them unless they're playing Madrid or PSG. Right, so stop waffling. Yeah, you ain't watching them against Celtic. Shut up. Yeah, you've got Thiago Silva, who looks like a finished footballer now. Yeah, he's called all the bozo genes off of the rest of them. You've got a load of players coming off the bench that I've never heard of in my life. I don't even recognise players. I have to wait for the graphics to come up with the name of the player on the screen because I don't know who they are. Yeah, and then it's Project Epstein. Like, what is going on at that football club, mate? And then you've got mad amounts of fans that are sitting there just having banter online. How, if we get 40 points, yeah, how about use your accounts to try and demand better? Because you know these social media teams at the football club you support are going to be watching social media. They watch the YouTube channels of the Chelsea content creators. They watch Facebook. They watch Instagram. They watch the Twitter pages. That's why they hire social media teams. That's why when you get a graphic put out from your club, oh, tough night in Birmingham, guys. And it's the moody team huddle before kickoff after you've done an hour in the dressing room, bigging yourself up. Oh, let's do this for the picture, guys. Yeah, so if we lose, we can say, oh, tough night in Birmingham. Yeah, and it's a team huddle. We're together. We're a family. Tottenham will have a family one. Do you know what I'm saying? It's mad. Yeah, Chelsea are buried, mate, and not enough of their fans, yeah, doing anything about it. And the only way they get their club back, yeah, and listen, I'm not one for promoting this really, but the only way they get their club back is go on an Ajax one. Yeah, and make it known. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, there's too many people in that crowd that will boo. Yeah, cool, boo. Fantastic. You've gone to the game, you're booing. Well done. What's booing doing? Yeah, they're buying players off of AI, according to Johnny Mimmels. AI, a Burnley system of AI to sign players. Yeah, they've got an under 25 policy. What's going on here? Yeah, think 25. What's that all about? They used to do that in Tesco for cigarettes. You know, like, what's going on here? Like, that club is a joke. How is it a big game? It's 2 crap teams. You have to defrost Roy Hodgson to wheel him out on match day. Yeah, do you know what I'm saying? Oh, come on, get out of here, man. Big game. What are you waffling about?
So who's winning the game, Sav, tonight? Chelsea or Palace?
I don't know. I just don't know anymore. I mean, Chelsea. Look, I've gone as far as this season as Lee knows, and I've been on stream saying, look, I think they'll get their act together and I think they'll be okay. And it's just not happening, is it? And it's at the stage where they've got some players, not saying they've not got injuries, they've got some players back from injury, and Poch still doesn't seem to be able to get anything fluid out of them. They don't seem to be able to score goals. I watched the first half of them against Wolves, and I'm thinking to myself, how are you not 3-0 up? Like, how have you not finished your dinner here? Like, I get it that they need a striker, but we're not talking about overly complicated chances here that professional footballers shouldn't be able to tuck away. I think he's in real trouble now. I've done a 1-8 and I think he's in real trouble. I do. I don't know where they go. I think if they lose the next couple, I think he could go. And then what do they do from that? Where do they go? A new guy comes in, wants to buy another 3, 4, 5 players. They spend another £200 million. I don't know where they go. The club is just a shadow of what it used to be. And it's too much too soon. Too much too soon. Tonight, I don't know. Look, Palace went to City, grabbed a draw. Palace have got a few players that will hurt you on the break. I really like Elise. I think he's got a top club written all over him at some point in the future. It could be one where Chelsea go out there 2-0 up first half an hour and actually look good. Or it could be another one of them games where they have all the ball and then Palace stay in there and nick it in the 80th, 90th minute. I just don't know with Chelsea anymore, Terry. I'd never, ever put them in an ACCA. I can tell you that much. Never, ever put them in my ACCA. You just don't know.
I mean, they lose tonight, sitting 11th, £1 billion in, halfway through this season. And I know not everybody predicted them to be back in the top 4 this year, but I don't remember seeing a single person predicting them being mid-table again halfway through the campaign. So as bad as it's going, nobody predicted, even someone who thought they wouldn't have a great season. I don't think anybody thought, again, it would be this bad. And they've had like moments where you think, okay.
People are predicting it doesn't stop them doing it on the pitch, does it?
Now, what I'm trying to say,
nobody predicted Arsenal to win a title race last season, but that didn't stop Arsenal.
no,
winning, did it?
No, but the point I'm making is that some people still didn't expect them to improve that much. But I think I'm just shocked they're as bad as they are. I thought there would be more significant improvement this year. You know, I thought they'd get themselves up and around at least inside the top 8, if that makes sense.
When you look at the signings they've made, yeah, I mean that Jackson up front, yeah, maybe he needs another FaceTime and get a bit of inspiration in that. Do you know what I'm saying? That guy cost 32 million quid. From Villarreal. He was never prolific at Villarreal, and he ain't a striker. Yeah, I reckon I'm better than him, by the way. I've got a better first touch than him. He is awful. Yeah, then they signed this Badiashile. Badiashile came in, looked half sensible, got injured, has come back, and he just looks like Titus Bramble.
He looks
awful, it's embarrassing. Yeah, and now you've got Thiago Silva, who's probably their best player. Yeah, looks a shadow of what he did last season. He was holding that club up last season from relegation. Yeah, this season he's caught all the bozo genes. You've got Sterling running around trying to be the glory guy. Yeah, look at me, I'm the hero. Don't want to pass to anyone. You've got Mudryk running around at 100 mile an hour straight into players, can't cross a ball. Yeah, well, the one cross he did do went straight in the back of Arsenal's net, and everyone got hyped. Yeah, you've got Madueke who comes on, runs around at 100 mile an hour, no real quality. Yeah, you've got Nkunku. He must be thinking, what have I come here for? Like, honestly, it's a mess. It's a mess. And the thing is, there's no leadership. You've got Conor Gallagher playing as a number 8 when he's a 10. You've got Enzo playing as a 10 when he's an 8. Yeah, you've got Colwell centre back at left back. You've got Chilwell left wing when he's a left back. Like, the whole thing's a mess, mate. It's a mess. Absolute mess. And they're finished, mate. Yeah, the only way they get their club back is if their fans revolt. And they ain't got enough of them on side yet.
I think the key thing is, and I know this sounds mad, they spent so much money. I think they need to go out and buy exactly what they got rid of. And what I mean by that is, I think they
can have 29 back.
I think they need some. I think they need some experience. Like the funny thing about it is, I think a couple of the players they've let go would have been really good for them. Now they need a Kovacic in midfield, a player with a bit of been there, seen it, done it, calming influence. Because I'm all for bringing through loads of young players and hoping that they do well together, but you've got to sprinkle some. You've got to sprinkle some experience in there, and not Thiago Silva at the age of 39 or whatever it is. I mean, like, you need a 27, 28-year-old in centre mid to play alongside Enzo.
It goes against their policy. Then Leo DiCaprio FC, 25 and under, mate.
Listen, I hear you. The thing is, Chelsea have had a few games this year where I've watched them and gone, you know what, you're not actually a bad team. You just can't score goals. They win a game and you think, if they win the next one, they're on a run. They're a bit like United in that sense. You know, we said like United, they win that game and everyone goes, okay, is this the turning point? They're a bit like that. And then they go to Wolves. I watched the first half. I watched the game, but watching the first half, I thought, oh, they're good here. Chelsea look good here. Like, are they clicking? Second half, complete capitulation. Just don't know what you're going to get.
It's crazy. They play more. This is where like the eye test lets you down. On the eye test, they're better than Man United. But in the reality of real football, they're not. And at the end of the day, we have 4 more wins than them. We're awful. For them if they lose tonight, to be 9 points behind Man United with the season we've had, with what you've spent and how pretty your football looks, it's an abomination. It really, really is. And look, I just think there is.
And they're below Bournemouth.
Mate, they're 7 points off the bottom 3.
So yeah, they're closer to the bottom 3 than they are to the top 4.
The top 4. Yeah, they're 12 points. No. They're 14 points off Spurs, who are in 4th.
They're 8 points off a 7th. Yeah, they're closer to bottom 3 than they are 7th.
They've got to win tonight, mate. I mean,
they have to win.
For Pochettino, I don't see, and forget that I'm a Spurs fan and we used to have Poch. I think if they lose tonight, and guys, you both know, I'm not one for sack managers really, really quickly. I just think it's going to come so untenable for him. If they lose to Wolves, then lose to Palace straight away, I just think it's going to be so untenable for him to stay there. And then when you look at what they've got coming up, away at Luton, their next game after tonight is away at Luton in 3 days.
That could be a relegation fight.
And then their next league game, their next 2 league games after that is Fulham at the Bridge, so Fulham won't be easy. The Derby, then they're away at Liverpool. And then home to Wolves. I mean, those 4 games, you should look at Chelsea and say 9 points out of that 12. This year, I think they'll be lucky if they manage to get 3 or 4. But it's been shocking. So
if Luton beat them, right, let's assume they lose tonight to Palace. If Luton beat them, they're 6 behind them. That's Luton. Yeah, all of a sudden, 3 or 4 losses on the spin for Chelsea, and they're in a relegation fight. Like, let's not even kid ourselves that they're not. If they lose 3 or 4
games, if
Luton
beat them, they'll be 4 points behind them.
Is it 4?
No, 3. No, 4. 4. There'll be 4 points, but they're on 15 at the moment.
It's crazy. And do you know what's interesting as well? Last year, when they were dropping towards that zone, there just wasn't enough games left. The issue you have is you've got a squad full of players who have come through academies and at teams that are not used to a dogfight down near the bottom. It's hard to handle. A manager that's never really been in that position, it could be difficult for him. And so I said at the beginning of the campaign, they had to start winning some games because you don't want last year's skeletons to essentially drag you back into the mire. And I feel like the pressure's building up upon them, and they're starting to feel it now, and the media's increasing a level of scrutiny against them, and they really are struggling. And yes, the football looks pretty. Yes, the football looks nice. But the lack of leadership is absolutely killing them.
Football looked pretty. I watched that Wolves game. That was one of the worst games of football I've ever seen.
No, maybe not that particular game. They've had a lot of games this year where I felt they've moved the ball. I've seen a lot of games this year with Chelsea where they've moved the ball well. The patterns have been good. They've got the ball into the right areas, and then their final ball or their finishing has been awful for a large amount of times. But I've seen them play some really good stuff this year. But that isn't enough when it comes to football. It really isn't. There's some super chats here about them. It says Luton definitely. This from Steve says Luton Town definitely beating Chelsea. Heard it here first.
We will be there.
Oh, we will be there. Big up, guys. Great show. Who are you backing and why? Duplessis or Strickland?
Duplessis, because that guy's a nutcase.
Yeah, I think Duplessis beats him. Personally, I think that Strickland's good. I wouldn't say it beat me up really easily. Just putting it out there. But I think he fought an Adesanya that for one reason or another his head weren't in that fight. Personally, and I think Duplessis is a slight level above. We saw what happened when Strickland got in there with Alex Pereira, just an elite fighter, and it was over very quickly. So yeah, I'm going to go with Duplessis on that one, my friend. Chike here says, big up, lads. 2024 is around the corner. Do you gents have any New Year's resolutions? Mine is to get into Bo Jackson type shape. I assume he looks good. The guy was an athlete. A New Year's resolution for you, Lee?
I thought he meant Action Jackson down at Chelsea, but there we go.
Action, that's what I call my son, Action Jackson.
the skinny Eddie Nketiah. New Year's resolution, keep demanding more from my club until they win a title. Keep holding the standards up. What's
yours, Savva?
Oh, mine's more personal than that. I lost 1.5 stone, and now I want to lose starting on the 2nd. I've got a plan in place to lose another stone and actually get my 25-year-old body back. I'm going for it. I'm going for it, man. And you both know how old I am, so yeah, I'm going for it.
Yeah, no, mine was the same actually. It's just get back in shape. That's it. I've got myself a little Apple Watch for Christmas where I can, but I'm not going to do it by weight. I want to get my resting heart rate back down to when I used to fight, which used to be at 55 beats per minute. So I'm working on making my heart rate better as opposed to looking at weight per se.
Stop getting me on then.
Yeah, shoot, my blood pressure goes through. I have to take the watch off when I'm on with Lee because it panics me. Lee chatting facts. Chelsea are in the trenches. Everything from top to bottom is an absolute joke. Clay's here says road to 40 points. We're almost there. Come on. Terry, where do you see that Jim has the option to buy the whole club in 3 years? I read something on socials from a fairly big account. I have to find it for you. As I said, it's not been corroborated by anybody at all. So we have to wait for those documents to come out. Big up to all three of you. Ten Hag has still got to go. One win means nothing. Levy hasn't changed and won't spend. Funny how Levy out's gone quiet. Arsenal need Toney and Luis. Champions League or Premier League can be ours. Thank you, bro. Hindsight is definitely a wonderful thing. Arsenal should have kept Martinez. Then the goalkeeper probably wouldn't exist. I think it's a really, really, really fair point. And this super chat here says, Unai Emery, what went wrong? Unai Emery said, good evening. 39 points. It's amazing. I am happy for Terry's after yesterday. Thank you. But I enjoyed it. It just didn't ruin my little Christmas period. It was nice. Speaking of teams, Arsenal obviously play tomorrow, Lee. It's been, it feels like ages since Arsenal have played. But you got a draw away from home at Liverpool. Were you impressed with your team's performance at Anfield?
Nope.
Come on, Terry, you knew the answer to that.
I have to ask. I don't want to
He does know the answer to that. He did a fan cam review show with my fan cam on it. No, I wasn't impressed. I wasn't impressed at all, if I'm honest. Our fans, a lot of our fans online are crying about, oh, they overwatered the pitch. Yeah, guess what? Do you remember that fan cam with Robbie and Ty, where he said it was raining? And Robbie goes, it was raining for both teams. Yeah, it was overwatered for both teams, mate. Yeah, how is that an excuse for not beating Liverpool? We had enough chances in that game to beat Liverpool. Yeah, we started great. Inside 40 seconds, Alisson flapped at one. Jesus should have scored off the resulting corner. We should have scored straight away, free header. Then we did get our goal. And I thought, here we go. 4 minutes in. This is a bit like last season. Yeah, now go and kick on. And then we didn't. And then all of a sudden, the C-Tech Bart Simpson, who admitted on camera he can't defend, lets Mohamed Salah in on his left foot. Do you know what was crazy about that? Do you know what was crazy about that? He watched that ball for 70 yards from Trent. 70. Not only did he watch it, Gabriel Magalhaes watched it. And not once did Gabriel Magalhaes go and close down that angle to stop Salah shooting. Yeah, he just stood there watching. And then 35 decides, I know, his strong foot's his left. Let me show him in on his left. Yeah, come on, get out of here, man. Yeah, then after that, yeah, off of a corner, like we had a one-on-one Saka. Off of the back of that, Martinelli should have scored it. Yeah, if that's any competent striker, it's in the back of the net. We have a corner, and then straight away there's a breakaway, 5-on-1. Yeah, and that was crazy, right? Because I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, I was at Anfield when Mohamed Salah ran the whole length of the pitch. Yeah, when Bellerin tried Cruyff turning on the edge of their box, and that was off a corner. I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm thinking, nah, they're clean through. They got 5 players in on goal, and then out of nowhere, Declan Rice appeared on the screen. I was like, where's he come from? How Trent missed that was probably because he slapped it like he slaps everything. Yeah, no finesse whatsoever. He just pings everything, doesn't he? Yeah, if he had a bit of finesse, he cushions that in the back of the net and they probably win the game. But all that showed to me that game is 2 teams that can't finish. Because if you go back to the previous games before that game, they had 34 shots against you and didn't score. And we had 26 shots against Brighton and only scored twice. Yeah, that's 2 teams that are not going to win the league. Liverpool have drawn 6 games out of 18. Well, 6 out of 19 now. Yeah, concede too many goals. I know they've got the best defence in the league. Sorry, concede too many chances, not goals. You know, I watched them against Burnley yesterday. Burnley could have had 3-4 goals. Although saying that, Liverpool could have been 6-0 up at half time. And again, that goes back to what I said. They ain't going to win the league. Too many draws, can't finish their chances. And with Arsenal, yeah, cool, we've had less draws. But again, unless we go and get a top striker in, we ain't winning the title.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so yeah, if you go and buy a better striker, that's the only way for you now. I mean, you still scored 36 goals this year, only 4 less than Manchester City without anybody, but you still believe that game showed you, drawing away at Anfield showed you that Arsenal can't win the league without a striker. Yeah,
because they were there for the taking. They're not that good. Yeah, they're not that good. I watched them a lot this season. Yeah, and they struggle at times, and they do create a lot of chances, but they miss a lot of chances. Now, that game against Burnley yesterday, no joke, they should have been 6-0 up at half time. Yeah, and they weren't. The goal that Darwin scored, nice finish, lovely goal. Yeah, they had a goal disallowed. Yeah, I'm not sure why they disallowed that, by the way, because the keeper weren't ever saving it anyway. Yeah, but they don't score enough. And they're fighting on 4 fronts. I'm not sure why they haven't got bigger fish to fry. I don't know why they're in the League Cup semi-final. I mean, bigger fish to fry at Arsenal. But yeah, for me, unless we go and get a striker and a midfielder, mate, I don't think we're winning it. Yeah, and I don't see us doing both. In fact, I actually want a centre-back as well. Because if either of them 2 centre-backs who have been brilliant this season get injured, the drop-off is Kivior. Yeah, which is why I weren't twerking like his wife all summer over transfer windows. Yeah, because that transfer window, I think I rated it a 4. Yeah, Man Utd agreed with me, by the way. He said it weren't a good transfer window and we didn't do what was required and we shouldn't have signed this player and that player. we needed a striker. And I was sat here this time last year, Terry, saying exactly the same. Get me a striker, get me a midfielder, get me a centre-back. Yeah, and if I'm really greedy, go and get me a right winger as well. And here we are a whole year later in a very similar position, and I'm saying exactly the same. And they showed their ambition last January. So I don't hold my breath, mate.
Sav, do you agree with Lee that this draw away at Anfield is sort of proof that Arsenal, without signing someone like an Ivan Toney, cannot win the league this year?
I don't necessarily think it's the draw away at Anfield that shows that. I think I've said that, maintained that all along. I've said all year, I think Arsenal are a couple of players short. Look, on the cold face of it, if we don't look at the game, if we don't look at the style, a point at Anfield is very, very good, right? Anfield, I can't, who goes there and wins? Hardly anyone every year. Watching the actual game, I thought that Arsenal started well. And then after that, I just felt like they kind of didn't really have a lot to offer. Almost felt like the front three in the game looked really timid. Like there wasn't any moments where I thought, oh, you're really overrunning them here. Liverpool were wasteful. I thought were really wasteful. I mean, how Alexander-Arnold's not just tucked that away into the bottom corner is beyond funny, to be honest. But listen, I think it showed. I'll go back to Lee's statement at the beginning. I don't think there's any particularly great teams anymore. I think that you've got a lot of teams that are all okay, all trying to outdo each other here. I don't see anyone that I go, you are excellent. You are the standard. Do you know what I mean? So look, I think Arsenal will still just be short. I think Liverpool will still just be short as well. But look, it's a good point for Arsenal. They've got to kick on though tomorrow night, right? I think they've got
West Ham at home. How do you see that game going? Because West Ham's form, it's they're 3 wins in their last 6, sitting in 7th place, going to the Emirates. So do you think Arsenal will have enough to beat this West Ham team?
Yeah, I do, because what I've seen with West Ham is, for example, I watched them against Wolves and they were very good against a team which didn't really have a lot of the ball, and I think that suited West Ham. When you then see West Ham play a team that has all the ball, suddenly the likes of, by the way, top players, the likes of Bowen, Pochetta, Kudus become a little bit less effective. I would expect Arsenal to win that. I think if Arsenal don't win that game, for me, I think that would be the bigger indication that they're not ready to win the league. I think they should be winning that game at home to West Ham. If they don't, I think, again, it's more... Everyone seems to be missing this opportunity, guys, to pull away from Man City whilst they've been in bad form and not playing. It's like everyone's seeing them at their worst and no one's saying, do you know what? If we win this game, we're 7, 8, 9 clear. No one wants to, or no one can take advantage of that opportunity. So I fully expect Arsenal should be winning that game tomorrow. Will they? I don't know. They should be. They definitely should be. And it'll be interesting to see Declan Rice
against West Ham. Are you confident in tomorrow night at the very least, Lee? Because City play tonight. They play Everton. Let's just say they win because they are the favourites to win. They'll sit 3 points behind you. Do you think you'll maintain that 6-point gap?
I think so. I don't think West Ham are very good, if I'm honest. They're a weird team. Like, they didn't play very well against Man United, but they didn't have to. They've got a goal threat in Jared Bowen and Kudus. But Pochetta, again, he's a decent player. Other than that, I'm looking around their team and I'm thinking none of this lot are any good. Like, honestly, none of them are any good. Ben Rama don't ever get me out of my seat and I think, oh, wow. Like, he's got a few tricks and skills in that. His output's dead. Their midfield, no, I think even with 29 suspended, I still think we dominate that. And and I think Declan Rice will be up for it. I think he'll be up for it. He'll want to show the West Ham fans exactly why he's playing for Arsenal. So he's going to be up for it. It's going to be hopefully a good game, and I do think we'll win. I think, despite Martinelli, Jesus, Saka, Odegaard not being as good as they were last season, I do think we've got too much for them. I genuinely do, and I think like Martinelli needs dropping. By the way. Trossard needs to come into this team. Martinelli's been awful, mate. Absolutely awful. And people keep asking me, why has he been awful? There's 2 reasons, I think. Number one, more teams are sitting back against us now. Yeah, and we don't have an overlapping fullback on that side. Well, we don't have one in general, to be fair. So when people go, oh, he's getting doubled and trebled up on, well, he's not. He's not getting doubled and trebled up on. People are just parking the bus, especially at the Emirates. So now the fullback, is sat there right next to the winger. Yeah, it's not doubling up on him. It's just they've tucked in. They're not doubling up. It's not like he has to try and, they're trying to jockey him and get the ball back. They're just saying, yeah, cool, just play it backwards then. Play it backwards into midfield. Play it backwards to Rice or to Zinchenko. Yeah, but the longer the game goes at 0-0, mate, the more West Ham are fancy it, wouldn't they? Yeah, and when they've got Jared Bowen and Kudus and Paqueta in their team, they've got half a chance. But to be honest, if we don't beat them, wow, because we should beat them. Yeah, we should be beating them, especially at home as well. Like I said, they're a weird team, mate. 1 minute they get pammed 5-0, the next minute they win 2-0. They're a weird, iffy team, mate. But yeah, we should be beating them. I'm expecting 3 points. Anything less is a failure.
Oh, definitely against a team of West Ham. I think West Ham a decent team, but yeah, you should be beating them at home. You mentioned that about needing to buy somebody. What's the word coming out of sort of Arsenal outlets about buying that much needed, in your opinion, striker in January? Ivan Toney's name obviously coming up and others. Is it being played down still, or do you get a sense that early in January you might get that business done, Lee?
No, we're on the apparently FFP guy, like borderline. We're struggling with FFP. All them stories are coming out. Then you've got one media outlet posting out that we're our main target is a centre back. Yeah, and then another one's posted out Ivan Toney's the main target. Then another one saying Douglas Luiz is the number 1 target. Yeah, Fabrizio posted out we've been tracking him since November. Yeah, like come on, get out of it. We need a centre back, a midfielder, and a striker. And if we don't do that, yeah, Man City get 4 in a row. Man City will get 4 in a row. And the thing is, Ivan Toney, Chelsea have offered more money for wages and more money for the fee, but you don't want to go there. So now it's down to us, or it's down to us to kind of sort that out with Brentford. Do they accept a little bit less money, and does he accept less wage? But let's be honest here. Yeah, he can't play for another 3 weeks. Yeah, I think the first game he could play is the 20th. For us, it'd be the 20th of January against Palace. Yeah, home debut, hat trick. Cheers, mate. Yeah, he's a baller. I want that geezer at my club. I don't care how much it costs. It ain't my money. Yeah, put him on whatever. Yeah, go and get a midfielder. I do not want Douglas Luiz at this football club. Go and get Paulinho. Yeah, go and get players that are already located in and around the area. Don't have to relocate. Don't have to move halfway around the world. Already played in the Premier League to a higher standard. Yeah, even though he's playing at Fulham, he's a shining light every time I watch him. He's too good for Palace. Fulham, with all due respect. Hence why Bayern Munich wanted him. Yeah, go and stick 60, 70 million for Toney, 60, 70 million for Paulinho. Yeah, and then Joachim Anderson, centre back, more than adequate. Yeah, and I would be comfortable with him being in that team if Saliba or Gabriel got injured. Yeah, and you could even rotate him as well and say, Saliba, we're 3-0 up. You sit down for the next half an hour, mate. We're putting him in. Or the next game, we're playing this team. They're bottom of the table. We're at home. Yeah, Saliba or Gabriel, you're having a rest. We're putting him in. Yeah, like let's be real with it. Like we should be going out and doing the business in January. But we won't. The highest, I think the last time we signed a player over 30 million in January was Aubameyang.
I've seen a few outlets link you to Dominic Solanke. I know he's in good form, but I agree. That's what I've seen. It's crazy.
Get out, mate. Seriously, yeah. Come on, get out of it. I'd rather Chris Wood.
It's good hat trick he scored yesterday, wasn't it? It was a good hat trick.
The second goal was crazy. What's the finish?
Yeah, very, very good. Yeah, it's interesting the stories you guys are pushing out. It's either the truth and you're not going to spend, or the club's kind of pushing out this narrative that we're sailing close to the FFP line and they're trying to drive prices down.
And I've Googled this because I've been told this so many times in my chat. Lee, we're on the FFP watch list. Yeah, that's factually correct. But guess what? We're only on that list with about 9 other teams. Yeah, that all lost too much money in COVID times and they wrote it all off because it was unforeseen circumstances. So that's why we're on that watch list. And that's from 2021. Yeah, we're not on the borderline of FFP, mate. Go and have a look at our wage bill when Arteta turned up. Go and have a look at the income of revenue and we're nowhere near. We are caked. And if we go out there and sign the 3 players, for example, that I've said, it's going to cost, about 150 mil. But now you can get rid of Eddie Nketiah. You can get rid of Aaron Ramsdale. Yes, you might have to go and get another goalkeeper. But we've got one on the bench called Hein. Well, he can't be that bad. And is our goalkeeper going to get injured? Take a chance, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, but we've got players we can get rid of. Like Thomas Partey's going to go. We could get rid of in the summer. We could get rid of Smith Rowe. Like we'll get money for him because he ain't going to get a game. He can't nail a position down. So we're nowhere near FFP. We're not on that, mate. Don't believe.
No,
it.
I hear you. There's people here like Solanke. Yeah, Solanke did do well against United, and yes, he has scored more goals than Jesus. He's on 12 goals this season. But look, Solanke's having, in my opinion, and we've seen a few players do this in the past, where he's having a really good year. I remember when Josh King had a little renaissance. Remember a few years ago when Iheanacho started scoring a lot and everyone went, oh, he's found the form.
Me too.
Yeah, Solanke is not good enough to help Arsenal try and win a title.
His passing is not good enough, and that's the biggest thing for Arteta. He wants somebody that can hold the ball and pass properly. Ivan Toney fits everything. That way.
He's doing well. I just don't see it. Yeah, he's just no. Solanke's in a good period of form this season. That is it, in my opinion, and that will drift away as well, probably in the next few games, and then he'll go back to what he scored 12 goals this season. What did he do score last year? 6 goals last year in the Prem. Year before that, wait for this to load. He was in the Championship.
29 in the Championship.
29 in the Championship, yeah. In 2021, I don't even know where he was back then. He was also in the Championship where he scored 15. He's decent. He's 26. He's coming into his pomp, but Arsenal need better than him, in my personal opinion. Yeah, the year before that, 2020 in the Premier League, 3 goals. You know, he's
not for me. We need an elite banger. And listen, the thing is, when you look at Salah's output, Salah is in that elite output level. When you look at Erling Haaland, he's in that elite output level. Yeah, when Tottenham had Kane, Kane is elite. Let's just be real, world class. Yeah, we haven't got that striker, and all of our strikers are under 6 foot. All of our attacking players are under 6 foot. Go and get me Ivan Toney, because when you're playing a game and you're 1-1 against Man City or 1-1 against Liverpool or something like that, and they're piling the pressure on, you just say, Tone, you just stand on the halfway line, son. We'll hoof it up to you. You know it's going to stick. It's a different angle. Yeah, not only that, he'll win headers in the box. Yeah, he'll run the channels. His link-up play is mad underrated. He's a top player, mate. Go and sign. I don't care if it costs 100 mil. Ain't my money. Go and sign him.
There we go. The football here says, Terry, who wins in a cage match, Lee or Arteta? All right, I'm going to base it on this. I think if Lee doesn't knock him out in the first minute, the fitness level of Arteta, because Arteta doesn't fit, right? I don't suppose we're athletically that fit anymore.
That.
He looks it.
Oh, so you think he's fit? Oh, really? Okay.
he looks relatively athletically fit, but I think Lee wins in the first minute. I think Lee knocks him out in the opening minute. That's what I think.
No. One of them. Nah. To be fair, I'll just rip his wig off. Yeah, and then
run.